Welcome to the 10th National Conference, Building Organizational Resilience and Thriving Towards Performance Optimization, a Way Forward. May I request all the participants to keep yourselves on mute for the session? The outburst of the COVID-19 pandemic uncovered number of challenges for the businesses and firms all over the globe. It is universally agreed that pandemic has impacted our life in unprecedented ways. It is profoundly challenging to survive in a devastating global pandemic situation as it has shaken economies of the countries all over the world. During this period, consumers, employees, and various other societal segments have adopted new attitudes, preferences, behaviors, and lifestyle. To address these changes of new normal, organizations will need to adapt their practices to meet the new environment challenges and uncertainties. It is the responsibility of the organizations to develop resilience so that they can thrive for new business opportunities during this pandemic to meet the augmented needs of various stakeholders. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I, Latika Malhotra, on behalf of Banarsidas Chandiwala Institute of Professional Studies, extend a very warm welcome to the 10th National Conference on Building Organizational Resilience and Thriving Towards Performance Optimization, a Way Forward. For the inaugural session of this conference today, we have amongst us eminent personalities from corporate and academia to grace the event. As someone very wisely said, gaining knowledge is the first step to wisdom, sharing it is the first step to humanity. To invocate for knowledge, wisdom, and enlightenment, let us begin the event on an auspicious note. May I request our technical team to play Saraswati Vandana?
या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रामृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतं शङ्करं प्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती
Thank you, Nikita. I'm profoundly delighted to welcome the very eminent dignitaries who have honored us with their presence today. We have with us the chief guest for the day, Dr. Abdullah Rashid Ahmed, Minister of State for Education, Maldives. Our first guest of honor, Professor Prabhat Ranjan, Vice Chancellor D.Y. Patil International University, Pune. Our second guest of honor, Mr. Jitendra Singh Daya, co-founder and CEO of Payko. And our keynote speaker, Mr. Sunil Dhar, Sales Director, Energy Division, ABB India Limited. We are grateful to all our distinguished guests for accepting our invitation. Thank you for joining us and gracing the event. I would also like to express our gratitude to the Vice Chairman of Shri Banarsidas Chandiwala Seva Smarak Trust Society, Shri Vipul Gupta ji, who is also our mentor and guide. Due to some urgency, he could not join us today, but it's because of his direction and blessings we have been able to put together this conference today. Now, to begin with the event, may I now call upon Dr. Aparna Mishra, Director, Banarsidas Chandiwala Institute of Professional Studies, to deliver the welcome address. Aparna.
Thank you, Latika. Thank you so very much. Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Abdullah Rashid Ji, Minister of State Education, Maldives. Respected guest of honor, Professor Prabhat Ranjan Sir, Vice Chancellor D.Y. Patil International University, Pune. Our second guest of honor, Mr. Jitendra Singh Daya, co-founder and CEO, PayQ, an Indo-Nepal startup. Our keynote speaker, Mr. Sunil Dhar, Sales Director, Energy Division, ABB India Limited. Dignitaries in the forum, esteemed delegates coming from different parts of the globe. My fellow colleagues, dear live viewers on our YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a very pleasant good afternoon. It's indeed a pleasure to welcome you all to this auspicious occasion of our 10th National Conference on building organizational resilience and thriving towards performance optimization, a way forward. We are really honored to have amongst us for this August gathering 4 eminent torchbearers who, with their expertise, passion, and knowledge, made a remarkable impression and made a difference with their vision and practice in their respective areas of business, research, and academic excellence. I'm not what happened to me, I'm what I choose to become. This is by Carl Jung. So it's gratifying to have so many insightful dignitaries, delegates, and synergetic experts all brought together with their wisdom and enriched experience on this virtual confluence of innovative ideas and practices. Through the theme of this conference, our endeavor is to orient the deliberations for one common cause, that is to achieve new edges and make a difference to this global transition. The COVID-19 pandemic was the latest in the series of shocks to disrupt our economies and societies as well. Both the near and long-term future will be defined by the capacity of the institutions to weather such shocks such as climate, cyber, health, or geopolitical, which are occurring at a frequency and with a severity perhaps never seen before in the history. As a result, the concept of building resilience has taken on added urgency within the business community and more broadly across society. Resisting and recovering from a shock like COVID-19 definitely takes more than bouncing back to a previous state in general, because unlike physical system, social system are unlikely to return to the past without changes, and in particular when the shock has disruptive feature of a black swan. A black swan is an unpredictable event that is beyond what is normally expected of a situation and has potentially severe consequences as defined by the author who coined this term, Nassim Nicholas Taleb. No amount of observations of white swan can allow the inference that all swans are white, but the observations of one single black swan is sufficient to refute that conclusion. This is said by David Hume. So in addition, this increasing global competitiveness, disruptive technology, and changing stakeholder expectations are accelerating this pace of this change. Organizations need to develop resilience to predict, prepare, and adapt so they can thrive into the future. They must be well prepared to use changes to their advantages. So strategic resilience is not simply about rebounding from the setback or coping with the huge challenges, but rather continuously adapting. It's not survival. It's survival, basically, not reaction. Citing a Deloitte report 2020-21, there can be 5 key factors of a resilient organization: prepared, adaptable, collaborative, trustworthy, and responsible. A prepared organization is proactive, contingency planning for both short-term and long-term eventualities, making sure there are plans in place to mitigate the risks and damages of the crisis. There is a reason to be prepared. According to a study done by Deloitte, 85% of the executives who survived the fallout of COVID-19 were prepared for the pandemic. An adaptable organization indicates a workforce that is flexible. As businesses moved online and bedroom turned into makeshift offices, the need to have versatile employees became ever more important. However, to realize the full potential, a flexible organizational culture molded by the management is integral as well. A resilient organization is also collaborative. Faster decision-making and holistic risk mitigation are key, as both risk and opportunities can be identified from a multitude of perspectives and not from insular divisions. A trustworthy organization is also one that is resilient, as per this report. We need to ensure that there is a relationship of trust between employees and the management and leader of the team. Another factor of imbibing trust in organization is informed and formed by the leadership leading with empathy and transparency in communication. The fifth characteristic is responsibility. The leader takes the responsibility beyond simply the bottom line. They need to be able to adapt and pivot so that they are able to meet the needs of the organization. While doing so, they also need to balance all the needs of the stakeholders. All these five factors are dependent on the staff being key partner in building of a culture conducive to these characteristics taking hold. Institutional resilience builds upon its individual counterpart. Experts suggest that performance will be optimized when people are able to employ their core capabilities to achieve a meaningful goal. This will allow them to enter a state which will be resulted in improved productivity and greater satisfaction. The Gallup Employee Engagement Survey 2020-21 of the employee in the US reports the number of employees who are actively engaged, not engaged, and disengaged in the organizations. With the number of employees reporting they are actively engaged averaging around 30% over the past 18 years. This presents a significant opportunity to drive performance by enhancing employee engagement to build and sustain organizational resilience. Organizations wanting to achieve sustained competitive advantage must build resilience to withstand the accelerating pace of change. So they are sufficiently agile to participate, anticipate, prepare, respond, and adapt to the situation. They must understand the reason they exist and align strategy, culture, structure, and people to build the organizational resilience required to optimize performance and thrive well in the future. The theme of this conference thus appreciates the fact that in order to understand the process of building resilience through performance optimization can give an edge towards the future par excellence. So before I hand over the podium for further processing, I'd like to convey a thoughtful caution to the audience to prepare themselves to be challenged, inspired, and motivated with the vivid insights and logical arguments of the paper presented during the conference. Today, many of you have made huge efforts to join us and support us in conducting what I hope is going to be a great conference on this globally challenging situation. And so I hope you gain the most from this reservoir of knowledge, which is to be created through the exhaustive deliberations and intellectual discussions lined up ahead. Now, before I hand over the further processing of the day, I, on behalf of the whole Banarsidas Chandiwala fraternity, once again would like to extend a hearty welcome. We are deeply appreciative to all of you for accepting our invitation and honoring us with your esteemed presence for making this event a grand success. To conclude, I say 3 R's are very important in context to the conference title proposed: respond, restart, and reimagine. Wish you all the best. Be safe and healthy. Thank you so very much. I'll end up and conclude my speech, welcome speech. Means we need to put in efforts to come out of any situation. So if we aspire to, we need to be trying to. Over to you, Latika.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving this event a very spirited foundation and elaborating the theme of this event. On that note, today we have amongst us eminent personalities from corporate and academia to grace our 10th National Conference. Before beginning with today's proceedings, I would like to introduce our esteemed dignitaries. I feel honored to introduce our chief guest for the day, Dr. Abdullah Rashid Ahmed. Dr. Ahmed is an enthusiastic educationist with 30 years of experience in the field of education. Sir is currently Minister of State for Education, Maldives. He has been recently appointed as an external advisor to Asia A University, Malaysia. Before this, Sir served as a principal of government schools for 18 years. Dr. Ahmed has been an alumnus of various prestigious institutions like National Institute of Education, Sri Lanka, University of Tasmania, Australia, Nottingham University, Malaysia, and Asia E University, Malaysia. Sir has been a recipient of many awards in his entire career, like Academic Excellence Award from Binary University, Malaysia, Dean's Role of Excellence from University of Tasmania, President's Award of Maldives for Best Student from the Binary University, Qasim Ibrahim Award of Excellence, and Principal of the Year from Ministry of Education, Maldives. Sir was also awarded as the Best Story Writer in the first film festival held in the Maldives. We welcome you, sir. It's an honor to have you with us today. May I now request Dr. Abdullah Rashid Ahmad to take over the session and deliver the inaugural address.
Uh, Thank you, Excellencies and dignitaries. Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon or good evening, whatever suits to you. It gives me really a great pleasure to be part of this important conference. Just now I have heard the speech of the director, which is also very inspiring and informative. To begin with, I can say the theme of this conference is really helpful and very appropriate for the current situation, because recently we have experienced that things are sometimes situation may change beyond our imagination. No country and no organization was ready for the what we have for the pandemic, what we have experienced. Therefore, in future, we should be resilient. That is why organizational resilience is very important. If organizations are not really resilient, it's not only the pandemic. Many other things may come in different forms. We will not be sure that what would be another disaster, whether it is a natural disaster, whether it is a pandemic, whether it is epidemic, what we don't know. But the thing is, organizations should be ready. That is why organizational resilience is important. Yeah, why we need to be resilient? Because thriving for the performance, any organization, their most important thing is to achieve their vision and missions and organizational goals. When the situation changes, organization should not be affected. Dr. Stephen Covey, he's a very famous leader, famous writer. He said, successful people travel with their own weather. Whether it rains or shines, they will still go on. But there are people who always find excuse. When it is raining, they can't do the work because it is raining. And then next day when it is sunny, they can't do because it is too hot. So then when they can do. So that should not be the way. So the resilience means you travel with your own weather. Whether it shines or whether it rains, you go on. That is why organizational resilience is important. And we all know there is nothing permanent except change. Change is always happening, and change comes in different forms. Technology is changing, knowledge is changing. Therefore, to be resilient, we have to accommodate the change. Organizations should be ready to grab the opportunity of the change. If organizations are not ready for the change, change will come and change the organization, then the change will not be favorable to the organization. Therefore, to get the opportunity, maximum opportunity of the change, organizations should be ready for the change. Also, I like what Dr. Stephen Covey has mentioned. I'm sure you all have heard about this from him. He said, successful people always sharpen their saw. So in order for, as we are talking about organizational resilience or thriving towards the performance, sharpen our saw is very important. So the question is, what kind of saw we need? 20th century and 21st century is different. 21st century is digital technology, networking. Therefore, we have to sharpen our saw to work in 21st century. And also research has done to see the difference between developed countries and developing countries. Some differences identified from that: in developed countries, they spend time on creating the knowledge, applying the knowledge, and creativity and innovation. Whereas underdeveloped or developing countries, we spend time on routine things done by either machine or routine things done by manually. So we are not moving ahead. Therefore, to be resilient and to thrive performance, we have to create knowledge, apply the knowledge. We are living in a knowledge economy. In a knowledge economy, the greatest resource, the most important resource to produce goods and services are knowledge. Therefore, if organization really create knowledge and utilize knowledge, then organization resilience will not be a question. Therefore, my suggestion to all the dignitaries, excellencies, and participants, what we need to do is we have to create knowledge, we have to utilize the knowledge, and we have to be ready for whatever the kind of situation. Two more things I want to identify. All the organizations, you would have your strategic plans and your annual plan. The question is, do we have contingency plan? Do we have scenario plan? I am sure after this COVID, organizations are having, organization will have scenario plans and contingency plan. If we have our plan A and plan B and plan C, we will not be stuck. We should not always assume that, we will not predict that situation will be stable, the situation will be same. No, things are changing. After the pandemic, Ukraine and Russian war is there, things are changing. Therefore, organizations should have plan A, plan B. When economy has, in this situation, we would be doing this. And the last thing I want to mention is, for organizational performance, thriving organizational performance, employee motivation is very important. Without inspiring and motivating employees, employees cannot give their best. And again, I can refer a saying of Dr. Stephen Covey. He said, you can buy people's hand, but you can't buy their mind. He also said, you can buy people's back, but you can't buy their heart. So their heart and mind is where their enthusiasm lies. Their innovation and creativity lies. Therefore, just paying, you can buy the hands and shoulders, but you can't buy hearts and mind. We have to win the heart and mind. How can we win? We can win by this, by giving them love, care, respect, and motivating them. Then I'm sure organizational performance will not be a question. With this note, I want to conclude my short speech, and I wish this conference will be a very enriching, enlightening conference for all the participants. Thank you for inviting me. I would be here for some times and then I should leave. Wish you all the best. And recently I was in India, the whole July and first week of August I was in India. I traveled many places. At last I was in Jaipur. I participated in many conferences and visited many places. Indian hospitality is the super and best. And thank you so much, being so friendly, nice and hospitable people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for sharing your valuable experiences with us. And I'm sure all our participants have gained significantly from your words of wisdom today. Introducing you to our guest of honor, Professor Prabhat Ranjan. Sir is currently Vice Chancellor National University, Akodi, Pune. Prior to this, sir was the Executive Director of TIFAC and heading India's technology think tank. Dr. Ranjan has done research work in nuclear fusion for nearly 20 years. Sir was involved with research and teaching embedded systems and sensor networks for wildlife in India. Sir has also been managing websites like creativelearning.in, nova.org, etc. An alumnus of the very prestigious institutions like University of California, Berkeley, University of Delhi, and IIT Kharagpur. His interest areas include embedded systems and sensor networks, Linux, nuclear fusion, and assistive technology. It is a privilege to have you with us today, sir. May I request you to share your valuable thoughts with us?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to add one more thing that we are working on, that is brain-computer interface for last 11 years to help people with disability. But also recently, Bureau of Indian Standards has made a national panel for support of a standardization process of BCI. which is going on at the International Standards Organization. So I'm convener of that. If anybody is working in that area, you can let me know. So thanks for inviting me to this event. And Dr. Aparna is an alumni of TIFAC program. I'm not a management expert. I talked to her that why she's inviting me. So she said that I could share some of the experiences that I've had. So I would start by sharing few experiences as I'm not a management expert. So I do things differently. I don't go by textbooks. So one of them I'm going to share, in fact, two case studies from TIFAC itself. One which Dr. Aparna was part of. I've written these blogs. Maybe I will just share the blog. I have the permission to do that. Yeah, so this is one of the blogs. It talks about the scheme, Kiran IPR scheme of Department of Science and Technology. I'm going to just summarize few points out of this. This program was started sometime around 2002 as part of government of a scheme to bring women with mid-career break into mainstream. It had three parts of this women. It's called Women Scientist Scheme, also Women Scientist Scheme. A part, B part, and C part. The C part was being handled by TIFAC, which is also called Kiran IPR at later stage. TIFAC used to handle this particular program, and Dr. Aparna was part of beneficiary of this scheme. When I joined TIFAC in 2013, and I visited Pune, which was, we had 4 centers for training. One was, of course, Delhi, Chennai, Kharagpur, and Pune. So after joining for certain official reason, I visited Pune, and that time the training was going on of 7th batch of women. And I met them, there were maybe 11, 12 of them. I just asked them casually about who they were and what they were doing and so on. And I found that most of them were young women of 21, 22 years age. So I was curious to find out the government scheme is for bringing women with mid-career break. How does this work out where you are 21, 20 years just fresh out of the college and you are part of the scheme? So I was a little perplexed that government is spending money and it's not benefiting the real BD. So I came back to Delhi and asked the scientists who were handling this as to why is this case. How do we identify women with mid-career break? So I was told that there's no way to identify. We don't have any criteria. So whoever applies, we consider. So I said that then what's the purpose of the government spending money for a specific group of women? And the purpose is not served. So we had a lot of discussion on this and how to identify. And finally, we decided to put a minimum age limit of 27 years and maximum up to 45 years, where women could apply under this scheme. Then the question came up, I was told that it will be very less number of people who will be applying to the scheme if we put such criteria. So I asked that, how do you actually announce these into to let people know? So I was told that as per government norms, we have to put in a newspaper ad. I said that by this time, most of people do not look at newspaper ads, and so it kind of passes by. So let's also use other means of communication, which are like social media and so on. So we started using that. The second thing that was there, I asked that where does the exam interest test take place? I was told this is 4 places: Delhi, Pune, Chennai, and Kharagpur, the 4 training centers. I said that how do you expect that somebody from, say, Meghalaya travels either to Kharagpur or to Delhi to give an exam where they're all in disadvantageous conditions? I said that we must make sure that they have access to exam center very close to where they are. We decided that we would have all the states' capital would be exam center, and we'll do it online so that it's possible to handle this. So we did actually, in the 8th batch, we did at 43 centers all across the country. Even we had a center at Andaman Nicobar because there was one candidate she had applied. We made an arrangement that there should be center there, because for her to travel out of Andaman Nicobar to any nearby center like Calcutta or Madras would have been very difficult. Of course, as luck would have it, she did not attend the exam, and so all our arrangements went bad. And then with all of this, actually, what we found was that we had maximum number of applicants, and all 120 seats that were filled. Further challenge was that when we brought the trainees, many of them were in family way. I remember there were 10 of them expecting babies at different stages. We had to make changes in the system to make sure that flexibility is there to handle to the whole training program. The net outcome was that the program became very successful. The people who were coming were very serious. They were getting a second chance. And it was really serving the needy people. And it led to change. And then every year it became like, I was at the 8th batch, and 9th batch, and 10th batch I started. So this program changed its character. And we also received a President's Award for this in 2016. Yeah, so actually, I don't know if you can notice that there's a President's Award. Mr. Pranab Mukherjee is giving that. And we also had a meeting with Prime Minister and Mrs. Maneka Gandhi because she was the Minister of Women and Child Development. So this is one story. I would like to share another story from TIFAC. I joined TIFAC not because of any thought process. It just happened because of certain circumstances that I'll not go into. But when I accepted the position, I was in Gandhinagar at that time. In one of the meetings in Ahmedabad, one of the professors told me, "Where are you going? TIFAC is a dead organization." So I said that my task only starts when the organization is dead. If it is alive and thriving, I am not required. So one of the things that we were, when I joined, I was about to join the organization, one of the things that we were doing was working on a document called Technology Vision 2035. Technology Vision 2035 document. And let me see, yeah, I can get that. So the same organization, the organization was set up as a technology think tank for the country. We had prepared Technology Vision 2020 for the country. And when we launched that document in 1996, at that time, Dr. Kalam used to be our chairman, and Dr. Y.S. Rajan was my predecessor at that time. The first question that I asked my scientists is that, even before I joined, that what happens to these documents once you prepare them? Do you follow up about the progress of India? I was told that no, we don't follow up. Then I said, what's the point of preparing such document when we don't keep track of what's happening because of the launch of these documents? It is like you prepare a document and launch it, clap and events, and then record into itself. We must make sure that when we prepare documents, impact is also seen. So actually, TIFAC in 1996, when the document was launched, Technology Vision 2020, my predecessor, Dr. Y.S. Rajan, told me it was very difficult to get people to be convinced about such documents. So what they decided was that the TIFAC will take things in its own hand. And that time in 1998, I believe, when Yashwant Sinha was finance minister, Dr. Kalam talked to him. And about 300 crores worth of project finance was approved through Planning Commission to help TIFAC implement Technology Vision 2020 related schemes. So TIFAC started to, of course, it took a lot of time for money to come in. By the time the actual money came in, Dr. Kalam had moved out. He became President of India in 2002. And Dr. Y.S. Rajan also tenure was over. And then the money started to come in, and the whole organization started to handle these projects. And they became like a funding agency. They no longer were a think tank. So when I joined the organization, the first issue that was in my mind is, how do I bring this organization, which has become a funding organization, handling files and money, and not doing the intellectual task of working as a think tank. So I have written some of these things in the detail. I'll just point out few things that I had to do. So one of them was that how do I visualize future? As was mentioned by chief guest, the technology keeps changing very fast. And any organization which is not keeping track of this goes out of circulation very quickly. We have seen Kodak, which was the largest photography company. They had the digital photography, they had the maximum patents, but they did not believe there was business potential in that. And unfortunately for them, they went out of business very quickly. They went bankrupt. We have seen Nokia phones in our life. And at one time, maybe 10 years ago, Nokia was if you say mobile phone, it was Nokia that was, it came to our mind. Today, that's gone out of surplus. So technology changes very fast. How do we see this? So there's a term called foresight. The TIFEC's task was to be able to foresee future and prepare country for that. I was not an expert, but as luck would have it, just before joining TIFEC, TIFEC had organized an event. It was called Indo-UK Workshop on Foresight. And although I had not joined formally, they invited me to participate in that 3 days program. That was my first exposure to the methodology of foresight. And nobody in TIFEC knew anything about this. But personally, I got exposed to these. And then my task was that how do I make sure that the TIFEC scientists follow these methods and understand how to use this to prepare the next set of documents, Technology Vision 2035. And one more thing I did was to ask them that Technology Vision 2020 document that was prepared, we must compare India's progress with respect to what we had visualized in 1996. So we did a retrospection of Technology Vision 2020 as to where India stands with respect to that. Now, we divided India into 4 groups. And another important part here was communication of these, because if I have to take it to stakeholders, I need to be able to communicate to stakeholders in proper way. Today, if I send a large PDF document, nobody is going to read. So although a chapter of 20 pages is prepared, we said that we'll use infographics to communicate this effectively. And we divided India's progress into 4 different groups. Starting from the left, it's Galloping India, Cantering India, Trotting India, and Walking India. Galloping India means whatever we had visualized, India has jumped ahead of what we had visualized. Cantering India means we have done along the line of expectation. Trotting India means something we have done slightly worse, and Walking India where we have done very poorly. I'll not go into more details because it's not the topic of discussion, but I'll just tell you that, for example, Walking India is probably not visible clearly, but at the bottom of that is waterways. When we handed over this document to Prime Minister's office in September 2014, it also was circulated to other ministries. And waterways, we visualized in 1996 that we should have 8 to 9% of passenger and goods traffic through waterways. In 18 years, not much was done. But after being pointed out, immediately there were 111 waterways were accelerated, and out of that, 11 are operational by 2018. I'm not aware of any more have been added more recently, last 4 years. So immediately impact started happening just by preparing these infographics and communicating effectively. The other thing that we did was to actually do capacity building of TIFEC scientists. So as I mentioned that TIFEC had become like a funding organization, most of people started knowing TIFEC as a funding organization. And that time it would do funding at a much higher level than even Department of Science and Technology. So as the scientists' work had changed, their methodology of learning about foresight, all that had gone. So I was told that maybe we can send all of them to different countries and get exposure to international things. But I said that unless you know a little bit yourself, you'll not gain anything. So first we'll do internal training. So I divided the group of scientists into various groups, asked them to study different aspects for site. There were few who were very unwilling to participate in anything like this because they were used to handling files. So I had to request them, make sure that everybody joins this effort. We made a group of 2 or 3. Then each one started to train others. So then we started to capacity building. Of course, everyone was not receptive to the same extent, but there were enough mass that was built up who were interested in following this. And we also then started to connect to global agencies which are in this. And that gave us that confidence that what we are doing is actually something that is also along with the norms globally. And based on all of these, the input that went into preparing the document was very good. And most of the work was being done by TIFAC scientists and not by expert committees. So we had expert committees formed, but most of them said that they cannot think of beyond something 2 or 3 years or 5 years time. Thinking of 20 years ahead of time was very difficult for them. So it was TIFAC scientists who actually came forward, who prepared most of the documents and waited through the expert committees, and that led to preparation of this document, Technology Vision 2035, that was launched by Prime Minister on January 3, 2016. And he launched it. He also wrote the launching ceremony. He also wrote the foreword to the document. And in 2017-18, the Prime Minister's Office decided that all the ministries and government departments should be following this document. And due to that, many things that have happened over the last 5, 6, 7 years has happened in the country because of this document. Many people do not know about this. I only know because I was involved with the document. But I'm happy that the document has been able to make big impact. I'll just give a few examples on this. In fact, I'm writing a blog on that. That's not yet complete right now, but I'll give you a few examples. In one of the chapters, we put 10 grand challenges for the country. The first grand challenge was guaranteeing nutritional security and eliminating female and child anemia. 60 to 70% women are anemic. 1/3 to 1/4 children are anemic. It's a problem that we have known for the last 40 years, but we have not been able to solve. Out of this particular grand challenge, we actually got 2 major missions of Government of India. One is called Anemia Mukt Bharat and Nutrition India. So from one grand challenge, 2 major national missions were started. And actually, those of you interested, you can actually, there's the apps available, you can download them and actually track the progress of the country with respect to this. Similarly, the grand challenge number 7 was taking the railway to Leh and Tawang. I'm happy to tell the government started those also. And they added 2 more in Meghalaya. So 4 railway tracks were started because of this. And the one that is going to Leh, actually, it will be having the highest rail bridge in the world. And the progress is going on. Similarly, we talked about waterways, I already talked about. We also talked about hyperloop technology. So because this document, Mr. Nitin Gadkari took a lot of interest in the document, actually invited us to discuss. He met Elon Musk and invited him to set up test facilities between Navi Mumbai to Pune to start hyperloop technology, which was not, it was being discussed, but nobody in the world was doing it. So India also started to join that race. It was the first time that actually India was participating along with other global leaders in latest technological changes that were happening. So these 2, 3 examples I've given. I'm not sure how much time I have remaining. Do I have a couple of more minutes or is it over?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I will share the last example that is of my current organization. Let me see if I have a blog. Okay, yeah. So after my TIFAC tenure got over on 24th April 2018, I took a flight from TIFAC. I went to Delhi airport and came to Pune and joined next day at DY Patil International University in a Kurdi campus of Pune. I did not tell my TIFAC colleagues where I'm going. I had only told my farewell. And Aparna actually and there was the ninth batch. There was a mid-term training program going on of women, and they actually arranged the date so that it was exactly on the last day of mine. So it became like a farewell of mine. And I told them that the three things I'm going to do is that I'll catch up on sleep. Second is play with my grandson, who was just maybe 5 months old. And third is write a book. But actually, I took a flight to Pune and joined this organization, DY Patil International University. It was a new organization. It was a new university. The campus was old. So I was the founder vice chancellor. When you're setting up an organization, you have both opportunity as well as challenge. Opportunity in the sense that you can shape up the organization as you desire. Challenge in the sense that you have to do everything from scratch. It's just like a startup. So I had a challenge that how do I change India's education system? I had served in another organization called Dhirubhai Mani Institute of Information and Communication Technology in Gandhinagar. That was also a new organization set up in 2001 by Reliance Group. Being part of Reliance Group, the money was not an issue. So the initial, all the capital expenses, even we were appointed as faculty members, our salaries were 2 to 3 times that of government salaries. All money was coming from Reliance industry, at least for 2 years. And all the buildings and other expenses, all were done by Reliance Group. We were not worried about money there. So we made a lot of changes there. But this organization was not like that. We had to start everything on our own. There was no money coming from management into the university, except the fact that the campus was existing and there were a few colleges running. Other than that, we had nothing of university. So we borrowed a few classrooms here and there and started working in the first year of operation. 2018, I came on 25th April. The university started formally on 14th March, just a few weeks before. So a few programs started on traditional norms, traditional systems. I did not have much chance to actually plan out things. The engineering program was not started that year. So I got a chance to spend some time on starting a new engineering program. And I focused on computer science engineering as a starting point. And this is a photograph of AICT committee that I was chairing, this meeting I was chairing, which was to plan out AICT's future plans itself. And we had talked about many different technologies that were happening. For example, artificial intelligence, IoT, blockchain, robotics, and so on and so forth. And we prepared, the document is prepared. In fact, I had moved out before the document was completed and I had come to Pune. So I wanted to make sure that whatever we are thinking, we should implement it at the ground level. But I was not sure whether the parents and the students would accept such changes. So I wrote a blog in 2018. I shared on LinkedIn, and I was very surprised to see that excitement that it had. We had more than 50,000 views, hundreds of comments coming in from all over the world. And people were so excited to participate in the discussion on this that finally had to refine the system and create this new program of computer science engineering. I'm not going to go into more details because short of time, but those of you interested can read my blog on this. But I'm happy to tell you that because of that program that we started, whole country's curriculum has changed today. So AICT liked the program very much. I told the AICT that I'm not seeking your approval because it's a very different kind of program, but I'm going to share the information with you. And I had to have the guts to actually do this because most of the people try to follow the government systems. But they liked it very much. They sent me a formal appreciation later that this is a very good program. It's going to benefit students very much. And they formed a committee to revamp undergraduate curriculum as well as to revamp the computer science engineering curriculum. I was a member of that. And due to this, actually, what happened was everything changed completely in 2020. What we did in 2019 led to complete change in 2020. And it completely changed across the country. The whole thing changed. Similarly, I started digital fabrication lab, and I'm happy to tell you that I'm chairman of AICT committee to set up this all across the country. So the whole country, we have digital fabrication setup is going on. 70 places we already set up, and the committee is reconstituted. I'm still chairman, and 150 more are going to be set up. So whatever innovative things we have tried here is leading to change countrywide. It is not happening in a government organization, it is not happening in IIT, NIT, or any other organization. It is happening at a private university with no resources. The point is that if the idea of a time has come for a certain idea, people will pick it up, somebody is going to initiate this. So I'll stop at this point. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences with us. And I'm sure our participants will be benefited by all these stimulating initiatives that you shared with us. Now, I would like to introduce our second guest of honor for the day, Mr. Jitendra Singh Daya. Sir is the co-founder and CEO of Takeo, an Indo-Nepal fintech startup. Prior to this, Mr. Dahiya worked as Vice President and Program Manager with Yes Bank. He has a banking experience for more than 18 years in handling trade and foreign exchange. He is a doctoral student pursuing a DBA in FinTech Disruption. He is also an author of the book Pep Hack, Mastering the Art of Selling. Along with this, runs his YouTube channel and podcast with the name as Read My Story, wherein he interviews authors, speakers, coaches, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and many more, where they share their stories to inspire people to do great in their lives. It is a privilege to have you with us today, sir. May I request our guest of honor, Mr. Jitendra Singh Daya, to share his valuable thoughts with us. Sir, you are on mute.
Namaskar and good afternoon to all senior dignitaries and the participants. And it was wonderful to be part of this wonderful session. And I was listening to like what is happening in a global system, ecosystem. And resilience is the word which is the key word these days. And we are hearing this on and off every day. And if I talk about myself, I've been a banker for 18 years and into a fintech startup. So I would be talking about finance sector, banking, fintech, and startup ecosystem in a nutshell, brief. So if we talk about last 2 decades, we have seen tremendous growth in terms of banking and finance, fintech, and things are evolving so fast, so on, that we are seeing so many changes in this segment sector, and that is benefiting masses, not the people, a specific set of people, but the masses. So why this is happening? It is because we are acceptable to change and we are acceptable to new technologies. If we see the growth in these last 2 decades is the factor innovation and technology. So without innovation, technology cannot work. And if we don't work on technology, we cannot improve our processes and organizational efficiency as a whole. So these things are correlated. So if I talk about these key drivers which are impacting this segment as a whole is global competitiveness. Disruptive technology is one big thing. Data analytics is also a part which is like influencing banking and finance sector these days very much. And also the changing expectation of the customer as well as the other stakeholders in the organization, outside the organization, is also the factor which is affecting this change. So this helps organization to predict in advance, prepare well for the change and adopt new ways to be a future ready organization. So this is really important for them to be on right path basically. So we can say creating a new business opportunity, organization should be efficient, creative and innovative while using technology for performance optimization and growth. This is what I feel is really important. And technology and innovation go hand in hand, will help organization in gaining productivity and performance overall, But if we talk about the main factor, which is people, uh, by getting people aligned with the organizational growth, organizational objective is really important. The overall organization performance can only be achieved if employees work with their core competencies and the best of their abilities towards the common organizational goal. So for these employees needs to follow their purpose and passion in the right direction with the right approach, which is really important. And for that, they need to be aligned with the organizational goal as such. This will help them to lead higher productivity and higher satisfaction at each stage. So we are not talking about the people who are at higher level, but we are talking about the people at all level in the organization. So which is really important. Engaging with the people at all levels is the key. And if we talk about the organizational resilience, it is critical for all organizations across all industries, whether the organization is small, medium, or large, or at any location they have their presence. So this is imperative to all organizations. And this is important to understand. Without being resilient and ready for innovation and change and adopt new technology, it will be difficult for organization to grow further from now, because whatever they have done till now is okay, but for moving ahead they needs to be ready with all these things. So organizations needs to think beyond traditional way of doing business and change to evolve their processes, operations, strategies at a faster pace. Moreover, it involves change in approach and mindset. Mindset is a key which enable everything to create a first impact, which is change. So this is really important. Mindset of the senior management is really important, because they should be adaptable and they should create equal opportunity for the employees at all levels, so that they can participate in a way that they feel like they are also the owner of the organization. This is really important. And the role of management is changing, and it need more evolvement also and it require engagement and cultural shift in the within the organizations. So we can say every startup or businesses must follow few of the following practices so that they can be more resilient, and which I think are really important. So first thing is they should define their core objectives very well. That should be like prioritizing what they want to do further. So that is really important. It means the core mission and strategic objectives that should be clear to everybody in the organization. Until unless every employee in the organization are not clear with the objective and they are not focused with the objective and aligned with the objective of the management, the organization would not flourish further. Also understanding and addressing disruptive scenarios which may occur in front of organizations. Since we have seen banking, which was earlier late 90s and early 2000, we have seen a shift there. Like technology evolvement, ATMs were involved, like introduced, online banking facilities was part of the new innovation. So there, from that point, we have seen a drastic change in banking practices, people following, like people using banking. So that was the thing which organization were not ready when we talk about the government organizations per se, that point in time. But the change happened. Change happened because we were requiring that as per the market needs, as per the needs of the people. So few organizations took the initiative and bring in the change. Same thing is happening now. We are seeing so many fintech organizations coming in and creating a disruptive environment for large banks, and small fintech company becoming a large within 4 to 5 years of a time period. That is really huge. So that kind of change can happen only if organizations are ready to change and ready to adopt new technologies. So next point is be ready for the change and transition to resilience. So having the right mindset and resources is really important. Until unless organization have the right mindset, to align with their objective and engage everybody in the organization and use resources in an appropriate way, they would not be able to face these challenges, these changes. So that is really important, that they should be ready to change and transition to resilience. And next point is engage and inspire ownership across organization. So when we talk about this thing, that means the kind of ownership between the employees should be there. So they should align themselves. They should be core aligned with the core objective, and they work with their efficiency and their performance only can improve. Then these things are aligned well. Next point is developing resilient ecosystem in the organization. So this means implementing, creating creativity and innovation, and using technology and people engagement in a way that everything, like all resources, are inclined and are well engaged at all level. So we can say if we follow these 5 practices in our organizations, that will help organizational resilience to build and help organizations to be better, bigger. And also, if we talk about technology and innovation, so they are the main thing these days. They help the organization to gain productivity and performance, uh, and people are the key to any organization. So my submission is that to be future ready, organizations must be uh, ready to change, must be aligned with the new technology, must follow best practices in the industry, and more importantly, align with the people in a right and appropriate way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your words of wisdom. We certainly have had some very intriguing thoughts about your experience, especially with respect to banking and fintech, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the time.
Now, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our keynote speaker for the day, Mr. Sunil Dhar. Mr. Dhar is currently Sales Director, Energy Division in ABB India Limited. He is currently responsible for large accounts in power, oil, and gas across India. Sir has immense experience of around 30 years in Energy Division. He was formerly Sales Director, Process Automation Division, and was responsible for leading regional process automation sales for all key industry verticals. He did his MBA from Manipal University and was gold medalist in his graduation of BTech Metallurgical Engineering from NIT Surathkal. He has also been associated as guest faculty in institutions like MDI Gurgaon, IMT Ghaziabad, and various other colleges under BCIPS University, Delhi. We are honored to have you with us today, sir. May I now request Mr. Sunil Dhar to deliver the keynote address?
Thank you, Latika, a lot. And also, my namaskar to all the faculty members of BCIP, and especially Professor Swarnika Singh, who has been really coordinating and following up with me for quite some time. In fact, right now I was in some meeting also. She just reminded me, and I just came out of that. So now, actually, as you know, I am from ABB India Limited. We are basically, it's a electrical and automation company. It's a Swiss multinational company having a headquarters in Zurich. It's around 40 billion US dollar company, and we have very strong footprint in India. And we are the third largest contributor to our global turnover. And as a keynote speaker, I think the topic of the day has been building organization resilience and thriving towards performance. I think this is very much relevant. And I can tell you, we have seen ups and downs from last 2-3 years. I have a practical experience. We have gone through, all of us rather have gone through very tough times, and gradually we came out from that also. And I have seen many organizations, there is a strong debate going on whether we should have virtual mode of working or face-to-face or hybrid. That is secondary sort of a aspect. But one thing is very clear: organization that prioritize mental well-being and resilience, they are going to thrive and do well in times to come. I think that is very important. Unless we have total focus on employees' well-being and we have an empathetic attitude towards them, we are not going to succeed, especially in those tough times. And I think another point which I would like to bring to notice of all of you is hybrid type of working. I think it is the most ideal situation what we have felt, at least, where one way whenever you want you have face-to-face. Otherwise, through virtual mode also you can connect with any of your team members or any employee across who are scattered across various geography of the country. And also it also gives that leeway to the employee to work more towards the company, as well as also his personal life also is taken care. So this is what we have felt. And I have some examples which I would like to share here with all of you. During the pandemic time, I remember when all of us were working on the virtual mode, and right from our MD and our top management, their focus was only and only on well-being of the employees. And the foremost thing what they did was almost on daily basis, they were connected through webinars, through the meetings were happening on a weekly basis, or you can say alternate basis, and they were discussing and then inquiring, and all the across all the zones, be it, let us say, northern zone is in Delhi, on the Calcutta eastern side or southern side, Bangalore, each and every zonal doctors were there, and all the support system were there to see that, because one is just talking and other is deliverables. So our top management have also delivered, and though the business took a hit in the between, because supply chain was disrupted, orders were not coming, everything was done, but still our company and with the support of our global management also, our focus was totally on the well-being of the employees. And I can tell you, within, I think, 6-8 months or 1 year, when the situation gradually started improving, and some of our operation team and other people, they started joining their factories and all that, partly, and each and every employee, they have really worked with full collaboration and full as a one team. The fact, I'm just sharing the after effect. And whatever the business, in terms of business, in terms of profitability, it went so high, which we never imagined. That was the support with the employees. When we take care of them, how it will come back. So this is what we have felt very strongly, and the results we saw in our front. And I think another is 5 habits of any resilient leader is we need to build strong relationship, and also we need to, foremost important, we need to listen to each and every employee, very important, attentively. Not this, again, on the listening, there's something called attentive listening, other is selective listening. Selective listening, as all of you know, you are the management experts. We listen just to listen or respond, but it is really, you have to be attentive listener, and also put yourself in employee shoes, and also show him a way, guide him, and help him in those situations. That is one thing. And also we have to be there as a team player and demonstrate through our actions, the way we explain how we develop. And fourth thing is, we need to develop networks, not within the, good times, even in bad times also, we have to with them, which really helped us in terms of deliverables or output. And last but not least is, we have to be authentic. Whatever as a leader, what we say, we have to, rather, show in terms of, I think, the results. And one thing which the previous guest speaker, I think, one point was very important, which I also liked very much. We keep saying in many of our meetings also that I think change is something which is which has to happen. Any technology or the shelf life of any technology is maximum 4 or 5 years. So until and unless we have innovation or something new comes up, we are not going to survive in any organization. Like I think the previous speaker gave an example of one mobile manufacturer where they after 10 years they were the leaders, they were out of business, and Apple came and then they took the whole market. The CEO of that company said, I did nothing wrong. But then some people asked him, you did not do anything right also. So this is something, we need to keep in mind, where with the changing technology, we cannot be complacent with whatever we know. We can survive with that. So we have to, with a new onset of new technology like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other things, we have to keep abreast. Similarly, on the management side also, and the results are bound to come, because the new mode of working will happen on the hybrid mode, and we have to perform and survive, and both ways in terms of business outputs as well as well-being of the employee is most crucial. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience and expertise with us. We certainly have had some very noteworthy takeaways from your speech. May I now request Dr. Davinder Sharma, Associate Professor BCIPS and the member of Coordinating Committee of this conference, to present the vote of thanks.
Am I audible, Atika?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Our chief guest, Dr. Abdullah Rashid Ahmed, our guest of honor, Professor Prabhat Ranjan, our second guest of honor, Jiten Singh Daya, our keynote speaker, Mr. Sunil Dhar, Vice Chairman, Sir Shri Vipul Gupta ji, Director Dr. Pinusha, learned delegates of the conference and audience member. It is a matter of great privilege and honor for me to offer a vote of thanks at the successful completion of inaugural session for the 10th annual Conference on Building Organizational Resilience and Driving Towards Performance Optimization, away from work. Our chief guest, Dr. Abdullah Rashid Ahmed, Education Minister Maldives, I express my heartfelt gratitude towards you for sharing your invaluable insight on achieving organizational resilience through performance optimization. I sincerely hope that your words of wisdom on how to create and build a culture of organizational resilience while striving to achieve performance optimization will resonate among the members of our audience and compel them to think about their role in the organizations they are serving, are set to join, apart from inspiring our students when they see themselves as a part of emerging level force. My sincere thanks to our guest of honor, Professor Pratap Ranjan, Vice Chancellor, DY Patil International University, for sharing with our audience your perspective on the relationship between creating an environment of organizational resilience and performance optimization. I express sincere hope that the perspective that you share today on how performance optimization can serve as a key tool to create and sustain an environment of organizational resilience will be a great food for thought for the learning audience present. My sincere thanks to our guest of honor, Jiten Singh Daya, co-founder and CEO of PayQ and Indo-Nepal FinTech startup. I express my heartfelt gratitude towards you for sharing your invaluable insight on achieving resilience through performance optimizations. We focus on various aspects like companies should ready for change the mindset of top management, align with new technology, understanding the disruptive atmosphere. I extend my sincere thanks to our keynote speaker, Mr. Sunil Dhar, Sales Director Energy Division ABB Limited, for sharing with the learning audience your views on the theme of our conference today, which would be highly beneficial also for our students aspiring to join industry by helping them to understand and build their own perspective on the role of quality workforce in achieving organizational resilience. Through optimization of employees' performance across functional area of management, we focus on some important aspects like strong relationship with the employee, emphasis on employee well-being, good team player, attentive listener. I, on behalf of my team, take the opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to our Vice Chairman, Shri Vipul Gupta ji, for being a part of a constant source of inspiration and ideas which always guide us and inspire us to aspire and achieve greater success. I sincere thanks to our director, Dr. Parmeshwara, for her unconditional support and critical advice and consistent encouragement towards us and our efforts that have enabled us to make the 10th annual conference a reality. Once again, thank you very much. Over to you, Ritika.
Thank you, sir. We'll begin with the technical session 1 at 2:30 sharp. So you are requested to stay with us and not leave the meeting. We'll be starting with the technical session soon. Thank you. We request all the participants to join us at 2:30 p.m. We'll be starting the technical session 1 at 2:30 p.m.
Founded by Shri Brij Krishan Chandiwala ji, who was a freedom fighter and a close associate of Mahatma Gandhi.
Brij Krishan ji was born in the year 1900 in a highly regarded Chandiwala family who were silver traders in Chandni Chowk in Delhi.
He was educated at St. Stephen's College, Delhi, where he happened to meet Bapu for the first time in 1918. His meeting with Bapu deeply influenced Brij Krishan ji, and he became his ardent follower and a close associate. Brij Krishan ji took to meager meals and to wearing khadi under Gandhiji's influence. He would not use any mattress, but would sleep on rugs. He used to spin khadi on spinning wheel and would wear clothes made from that yarn only.
Though a prolific writer, but he was frugal with the usage of paper and would make sure to use it till its last bit.
While in Delhi, Gandhiji used to often stay at Chandiwala's Haveli at Katra Khushhal Rai.
He was also there in 1924, where he observed his 21-day long fast for communal harmony.
During the 1930s, Brij Krishan ji helped organize the stone breakers of Delhi into a union, took up cases of violation of their rights with the Delhi administrators and in courts of law to ensure better compliance of government regulations regarding their work and to get compensation for them. Though he was asked by Bapu not to participate in Salt March in 1930, but he quit eating sugar and salt after that and did not do so for more than 50 years until mandated by his doctors. Brij Krishan ji was with Gandhiji on the day of his assassination, and it was he who prepared Gandhiji's body for cremation.
Brij Krishan ji's devotion for Bapu had no bounds. He authored a 3-volume book, Gandhi Ji Ki Delhi Diary, which chronicles Gandhi's day in Delhi. The other notable book that he authored in Hindi was titled Bapu Ke Charnon Mein, which was later translated into English as At the Feet of Bapu.
He was affectionately called as Bhaiji by his associates. Taking the responsibility of providing human service in education, post-independence, Brij Krishan ji founded Shri Banarsidas Chandiwala Seva Smarak Trust Society in 1952 in the memory of his father, late Shri Banarsidas Chandiwala.
Post-independence, women education was a big challenge and of utmost significance. And Shri Brij Krishan ji addressed this issue by setting up Janki Devi Memorial College in the memory of his mother, Srimati Janki Devi ji. It was started in barracks at Rouse Avenue and was inaugurated by Mrs. Indira Gandhi in 1959.
The foundation stone for the present building was laid at an off-North campus site in central Delhi at Sir Gangaram Hospital Marg to cater central and West Delhi population by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in 1960. This followed by laying of the foundation stone for the residential quarters by the fourth President of India, Shri V.V. Giri.
Janki Devi Memorial College is one of the prominent seats of women education in Delhi and is an autonomous institution affiliated to Delhi University.
The other educational institute for girls run by the trust is Janki Devi Vocational Center that equips the girls with vocational skills and paves the way towards their economic independence. Rich Krishanji was honored with Padma Shri in 1963 for his devotion and contributions in the field of social services. Shri Banarsi Das Chandiwala Seva Smarak Trust Society runs 4 professional colleges affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University.
Banarsi Das Chandiwala Institute of Physiotherapy is approved by Delhi Council of Physiotherapy and Occupational Therapy, Government of NCT Delhi, and is categorized as Grade A+ by SFRC.
Banarsi Das Chandiwala Institute of Information Technology and Banarsi Das Chandiwala Institute of Professional Studies Dwarka are both AICTE approved institutes also and categorized as Grade A+ and Grade A by SFRC respectively.
Banarsi Das Chandiwala Institute of Hotel Management and Catering Technology. It is an AICTE approved and NAC accredited institute and also categorized as Grade A+ by SFRC.
Furthering the other mission, health, the Trust Society is running multi-speciality hospitals, dispensaries, and healthcare centers and offering varied services through Banarsi Das Chandiwala Institute of Medical Sciences and Eye Hospital at Kalkaji, New Delhi. Banarsi Das Chandiwala Eye and Dental Care Center, Jama Masjid. And Banarsi Das Chandiwala Eye Hospital in Motihari, Bihar.
Welcome back to the technical session 1 of this 2 days national conference. I would now take this opportunity to welcome our session chair and co-chair for the day. It is my privilege to introduce to you our session chair for this technical session 1, Dr. Meenakshi Rathi. Dr. Rathi is Assistant Professor and Head of the Commerce Department, Government Adarsh College, Harda, Madhya Pradesh. Ma'am is having more than 13 years of teaching experience as Commerce and Management faculty and has been handling various important portfolios like Administrative Officer, NAC IQAC Coordinator, etc. She has also been a member of Madhya Pradesh Higher Education Department E-Content Development Team. Dr. Rathi is a keen researcher in the area of finance and has published various research papers in the journals of national and international review. We are honored to have you with us today, ma'am. The session will be co-chaired by Ms. Swarnika Singh, Assistant Professor, BCIPS. I request our session chair, Dr. Meenakshi Rathi, and co-chair, Ms. Swarnika, to take over the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Latika. I think I'm audible enough.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to first of all, I would like to thank the faculty of entire institute for giving us this opportunity. I think Swarnika ma'am, we can start up with the things.
Yes, sure, sure. So first of all, ma'am, I also like to welcome you for the session, for being our esteemed technical session chair. And I also like to welcome the participant and the presenters for the session. So before commencing the session, I will read out the guidelines for the presentation. Presentation time allocated for each paper presenter will be around 5 to 7 minutes, followed by question and answer round. So 5 minutes for the presentation and 2 minutes will be given for question and answer round. The presenter should focus on significance of the topic, objectives of the research methodology, findings, contributions, and implications of the research. So I'd like to request the participants and the presenters to kindly adhere the time limit of the presentation. We can also present the slides on behalf of presenters, and they can also do the same thing from their side. So first of all, for this technical session, I'd like to welcome Dr. C. Kusuma Reddy, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, St. Mary College, and Dr. K. Karishma Reddy, student from Mary's College, Hyderabad, to present their paper, A Comparative Study in Higher Educational System, India and Abroad, a Service Marketing Perspective, a Case Study of International Campus Connect.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. This is Charishma. I'll be presenting the project. I'd like to share my screen. Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, perfectly visible. Karishma, you can start
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to take part in this spectacular event, ma'am. So coming to the project,
Karishma, ma'am, is it possible for you to switch on the camera also?
yeah, sure. Is my video visible?
So it is not till now, but it is okay. You can present the presentation. We'd
Yeah,
love to hear you.
yeah, sure. So getting a foreign degree is a dream for every Indian student, and education consultancies make that dream come true, and they make it a lot easier for them. So overseas education is not just a place where you can get a foreign degree, but it also a dynamic concept which involves journey and movements of people with different culture and ideas and mindsets. According to Graduate Management Admission Council, India stands in second place where students pursue their higher education and abroad. And one of the recent articles states that total number of Indian students are currently pursuing their higher education in years are about 186,000 people, 1,000 students. And it also states that about 45,000 crores are spent on foreign education in India, just because substandard quality of higher education in the country. It's not just the elite who spends the money gorgeously, but also the middle class families also spend their lifetime savings for the education of their children. The main objective of this study is to understand why overseas education consultancies has grown in past few decades, and to understand what are the reasons the students are so fascinated towards overseas education, not just the students but also also their parents, and also to know the feedback towards a startup company called International Campus Connect. The primary data was collected through the interaction with the students and the employees of the company, and through a structured questionnaire with a set of questions which helps the study. And the secondary data was collected through companies' websites and internet and some other reliable sources. So the study conducted through a group of 100 people, 100 students. Through the research, we found that out of 100 students, 71% of the students are willing to study abroad, and 28.3% of students choose to select India as the choice of study destination. And in that research, top 5 destinations which students prefer mostly accordingly are: US stands first, whereas with 30%, and UK is slightly different from US, which is 25%, and 20% of the chosen students chose is Canada as their final destination.
Karishma, kindly conclude the session. Your paper.
Yeah, sure. So the findings are there is a significant growth in the market. There is a significant growth in the market, and it's a highly competitive market. And it's not just the students, but it's more wide. Okay. The suggestions for the project would be: the company should prioritize the brand through a massive advertisement. As it's a startup company, it should focus on availability of the sources and the services. The conclusion would be a strong present on influence of consultancies in overseas education. The services provided by the education consultancies are par with the overseas education requirements.
Okay, Karishma. I'd like to ask our esteemed technical question if there is any question from the presenter.
Actually, Charishma, I just wanted to ask one thing. The topic of your study was a comparative study of study in higher education system, India and abroad. So we were expecting that you will be, giving the reference of Indian education system, and you'll be comparing it with with some of the countries abroad. So, but I think you have taken one of the consultancy. You have taken one of the study related to one of the consultancies, and you are moving your study around that consultancy and how the consultancies are growing and all those things. So I found a mismatch in the topic of your study, the objectives, and the conclusion. I did not found any correlation. So that is, I think.
So, ma'am, this project is based on students' perspective, ma'am, because every student goes through a stage where they are confused between what to choose and where to go. And students, especially students and parents, blindly believe that education, like higher education and abroad, is very essential thing for their growth. That's what every student think. And
So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think my suggestion would be it is better if you would have done a case study on that particular consultancy, or maybe the case study on the growth of consultancies in India who are basically, catering the services of sending students out for abroad for the studies and all those things. So I think that would suffice the purpose of the paper.
Yes, ma'am.
But you have done a wonderful effort. Yes, Judge. Wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. K. Karishma Reddy. Now, I would like to welcome the second presenter for the session, Ms. Deeksha. And Ms. Deeksha, Teaching Associate, IHM Panipat. Ms. Vanshika Srivastav, Teaching Associate, IHM Panipat. And they will be presenting their paper on role of IT in branding and positioning of a hotel, a case study of the Oberoi, Gurugram.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Good evening.
Good evening, Diksha. You're perfectly audible. Yes.
Ma'am, should I start the presentation?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, my presentation is visible. My screen is visible where my presentation is open.
No, it is not.
Is it visible now, ma'am?
No, Diksha, it is, yeah. We are able to see it now.
Yes, ma'am. To one and all, the topic for my paper presentation is role of IT in branding positioning of hotel case of the Royal Gurugram. So, ma'am, basically, what we have tried to do in this paper is that we have tried to understand the role what an IT plays in branding and positioning of a hotel, and we have specifically chosen one hotel, which is the Oberoi's Gurugram. We have developed 2 questionnaires, and based on the results, we have developed our paper. So, ma'am, this is the introduction about the entire paper. If we talk about today's world, IT does plays a great role whenever we talk about marketing, because everyone, like from every age group, people are associated with different IT platforms. So it is a good channel where we can promote. So what we try to do is that how it helps in branding or positioning in a hotel. And it's also an effective connectivity of customer. Any particular organization helps the consumers to have a better understanding. It also aids the organization to sell the products in a better manner. Every company belonging to any sector uses it as a platform, like using online as a
Diksha, your
platform for
voice is
marketing their
not coming
products.
finely. Please try to manage the network connections. Yes, we are not here. We are not able to hear you perfectly.
Am I audible now, ma'am?
Yes.
I was telling that how websites play, or an effectively or a nicely developed website helps any organization to brand its particular services, or specifically if we talk about here about its hotel. So the objective from that is to examine of IT in branding and positioning of a hotel, to analyze the usage and significance of websites of hotel in urban marketing. The goal of the study is to examine the role of IT in facilitating the branding of hotel Gurugram. We have that structure there, and we have designed 2 questions. We have a question for the sales of the opera.
Very sorry to interrupt you again, but we are not able. Your voice is breaking. We are not able to listen.
Am I audible now?
No, the problems still persist.
Now, is it possible that Ms. Vanshika Srivastav will take over the session? Okay. Okay. Diksha, I believe network connection is not okay from your side. What we can do is we can again try to reschedule your presentation. After this, I'd like to welcome Ms. Devinder Kaur Sohi, Research Scholar, Assistant Professor, Symbiosis Law School, Pune, and Dr. Priyanka Vijay, Assistant Professor, Banastali Vidyapeeth, Rajasthan, India. The topic for the presentation of the research paper is fostering through digital platforms, financial literacy, that will be systematic literature review. Yes, I would like to again welcome Ms. Devinder Kaur Sohi for the presentation. We'll take a couple of minutes and after that she will be presenting the paper.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good
Yes,
afternoon,
good
ma'am.
afternoon, Devinder ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're perfectly audible.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am,
yes,
you are audible.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, good afternoon, Devinder ma'am. You're perfectly
Okay.
audible.
Ma'am, just now I'm presenting my presentation. Ma'am, you are able to see? You are able to see, ma'am?
We are not, but in a while, I believe we will be able to see. Just present the paper from your side, ma'am.
What is happening?
Now,
yes.
Now we are able to see it. Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My name is Devinder, and I'm assistant professor in symbiosis, as well as presently I'm doing PhD, research scholar. My topic is, ma'am, fostering through digital platforms, financial literacy, systematic review of literature with my guide. The utilization of the technology has been advancing for all the social and the monetary purpose far and wide. So here studies recommended that with regards to the training, innovation, made the instructing and learning agreeable and fascinating for the instructors and the students, giving a budgetary education through disconnected mode, which has been concentrated widely by the analysts around the globe. In case of their deficiency of the studies on the territory of the part of innovation, endeavor to investigate the territory of online money-related proficiency. It plots the part of electronic stages in conferring the monetary proficiency. My efficient writing survey was directed over 159 papers on online monetary proficiency from the Scopus information base, and further substance investigation was performed. It is presumed that utilizing on the web devices to give a budgetary proficiency combined with the computerized education among people has prompted more utilization of monetary administrations by the shoppers all over the globe. The main introduction in this part in this world of money, the people's responsibilities for the retirement planning and making financial decisions have recently been increasing. So the transition from this has been an advantage to the commitment of plans as well as for the advancement of the complex budgetary issues, the innovations in their company, the exchange, the banking, the money jobs, advertising, and the coordination to gain a competitive edge and to improve their primary concern. Thus, with the add of this advancement in the computerized age, there is a commitment between a business and all the partners, including the customers, which occurs considerably. So in this, everything is quite equal. A certain innovation worth might not be its equality. There is a technology raises additional concerns as compared to the traditional working conditions. So while providing the financial literacy through online stages, several studies and distributions features areas of interest, their obstacles, feasibility, and challenges. With this increasing use of the data and earn the credentials and to acquire the skills of today. My current study reviews that all of the investigations are into the role of innovation and promoting the financial education. It assists in providing through a system which it would include a current state of financial education being provided through various internet channels. The main objectives, ma'am, what exactly would have been the aims been for promoting the economic literacy via technology. Second,
Ma'am, kindly
everything
conclude
that
the section.
altered into the techniques used. What if the negative effects may be attributed to the use of such technologies? Just little time, ma'am, more. The keyword, this online economic literacy, is a preliminary my research, and it's a part of that in the press and the survey paper, the ebook phase, the publications, and in this circumstances, a total of 159 articles has been found, which were all things were considered. According to this attention standard outline above, all the items have been done from the period of 1984 to 2020, and it shows that since 2020 there has been a significant increase in the publications. Online financial education has been the subject of numerous publications in the recent years, and it
Ma'am,
has
we'd
been
like to
increasing
see
their
the slide
citations
of
also for
yours.
the courses related to an online
Devinder ma'am,
literacy.
we'd
Ma'am,
like to see your slide of findings.
okay, ma'am. Financial education, financial mindset, and behavior are the main three keys of the components in my study of this financial literacy. And it has been a global phenomenon that has been extremely reached, observed with the help of my all scholars.
Ma'am, we are
Prevailing
not
the
able
review
to
by
see your slide of findings. Kindly come to your final slide, ma'am. We can't see.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay. So I'm coming to the last conclusions only, ma'am. By this, my reviewing the in understanding the key research in the area of the role of internet or data generation in promoting the financial literacy. Online financial literacy development depends on a person's virtual literacy as well as their prior knowledge of their interest in the subject. So it has been discovered the availability of virtual systems or structures through digital devices like laptops, cell phones, desktop computers has significantly improved the user's financial learning experiences. Additionally, it has been made the process of getting to know one another easy and enjoyable
Sorry
for
to
both
interrupt you,
the teachers
Devinder
and the
Kaur
new
ma'am.
students
Actually, your
everywhere.
slides are not moving. We are not able to see your slides because still you are on your very first title slide.
I don't know what is happening. Actually, this I am not able to present it, ma'am. What is happening? I'm not understanding. I'm getting the help because from my side, I am unable to um, present it, and in the written phase is coming over here.
Okay, just wind up your session, ma'am. Please, thank you.
Okay, ma'am.
Any queries from Meenakshi ma'am side?
Ma'am, actually, the problem was same. I am not able to see the slides. So I did not, I don't know actually what are the objectives of the study and how ma'am has gone through the research methodology part and all those things. But yes, one thing I just wanted to ask from Devinder ma'am. Ma'am, can you tell me what are the risks associated if you talk about the, going online, if you talk about improving or fostering the financial literacy, specifically to the rural India, if I talk about, or maybe if you talk about spreading the financial literacy to the elderly, what could be the problems associated with them? Have you talked about those things in your study?
Devinder ma'am, are you there? I think Miss Devinder Kaur Sohi ma'am has lost her network connections. So there are good possibilities that she'll be joining later. But not delaying the session, after this, I'd like to welcome our another presenter, Mr. Shankha Chatterjee, Assistant Professor, NSHM Business School, NSHM Knowledge Campus, Durgapur. He'll be presenting her research paper on rural marketing and its impact on the Indian economy, sustainability in the challenging times.
A very good afternoon to Dr. Meenakshi and the entire team of BCIPS for giving me the opportunity. Ma'am, I'll take you to the screen. Ma'am, can I share the screen?
Yes, sir.
But I think there's some problem with the screen.
Yes, sir. Please.
Ma'am, can you see? Ma'am, can you see my screen?
Not yet, sir.
There is some problem. Now can you see me? Can you see me?
Not yet, sir. Can we present your presentation?
Sure. That would be very nice. Very kind
I
of you,
would
ma'am.
request my technical team to present the
Yes.
PPT of Shankha Chatterjee, sir.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Give us
Thank
a
you so
minute, sir. We'll be presenting.
Okay. Yeah. My presentation is on rural marketing and its impact on the Indian economy. What I have basically tried to focus is that the rural marketplace is a major chunk of our economy, which I've tried to say that it's about 627 million, which is 74.3% of the total population, which is 3/4 of the total population. So I hope you understand they're bringing in bigger revenues in the country. So, ma'am, can you just go back to the earlier slide, please? Earlier slide, please. Yeah, just second slide, please, ma'am. Second slide. Yeah. So what I'm trying to suggest, it's generating almost half of the country's income. So we have to give a lot of focus onto that. Please go on to the next slide, ma'am. Okay. Now, what we have seen in the last couple of years that the income levels in the rural areas are increasing over the years. So what I'm suggesting that the middle income group and the above categories, they are the consuming class. They are 80% of the consuming class, which is increasing over the years. And when it's increasing, obviously, they have a lot of disposable income in their hand, which they would like to go into the market and spend. This is a major factor because if there is spending, obviously, in terms of economics, as we say, if there is demand, definitely there will be supply. So the demand is there, they're spending, and definitely the supply is there. So the economy is booming. So this is one sector which we should give high level of importance. Next slide, please. Yeah, but there are certain things because, ma'am, you know, in rural areas, there are certain social norms that we cannot go to that market and we cannot spend. We cannot buy our products from that market. there are various traditions which is a part of Indian culture. Casteism is a very big factor which is still there in our society. And obviously, there are certain social customs which influence our consumer behavior. Now, suppose there are two sections of a village. One is of high caste and one is of low caste. Now, there are certain instances people of low caste are not going into the area where people of high caste are staying. They're not buying because it's a sort of taboo. So this thing is also a very big factor which is hampering the economy in that area. If they open up their economy, they can obviously exchange their goods and then the economy will start booming. One very important factor, ma'am, is agricultural production. We are dependent on monsoon. This is August, and the monsoon which starts from June, July, August, September is the maximum chunk of the monsoon. If monsoon is very good, agricultural production will increase. And obviously, we will see there is a particular
Kindly
season.
conclude the session.
Yes, the season where rural consumers' demand is increasing and definitely they are spending. So the spending spree increases in certain situations. Next slide, please. Yeah. So first of all, what we see, there's a lot of flow of goods and services from rural producers to urban consumers. Thanks to Nitin Gadkari ji, we have seen a lot of highways which is coming up. Lot of infrastructure developments have taken place. Communication facilities have increased. Now we are going to switch on to 5G, which will increase the bandwidth. So what we see, rural markets are small settlements where we have low infrastructure facilities. If we can improve the infrastructure, if we can increase the internet connectivity, people can do a lot of business. And obviously, I'm hinting at digital business, which has increased over the years. Next slide, please. Yeah. So, yeah. So this is the main thing which I'm trying to tell you, that the economy obviously is there in the urban areas, but we have to give focus to the rural areas also. If the rural area flourishes, since we are dependent on agriculture, our economy is not like America. We are dependent on agriculture. So if we give focus to the rural consumers, obviously we can do much better and our economy is going to boom. And with this, I would like to conclude. I couldn't give any mathematical presentation due to lack of time. I'm really sorry for that, but it's a wonderful opportunity to come here and present on this platform. I would like to thank all of you from the core of my heart for giving me the opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am. Thank you all.
I'd like to,
sir.
yes, I'd like to welcome Meenakshi ma'am to ask any question if she has.
Actually, I don't have anything to ask here, but a nice presentation from your side, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
This is the rural phenomena you have discussed here.
Yes.
But yes, as you said, if it is supported by certain, data collection or maybe some specific issues you would have taken, so that would be more helpful in that case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for presenting the paper. Now I'd like to welcome Ms. Ikra Manzoora, Senior Research Fellow, Central University of Kashmir, Dr. Zia ul Haq, Senior Assistant Professor, Central University of Kashmir. They will be presenting advertisements with social message, linking attitude towards the advertisement, purchase intention, and subjective well-being. Welcome to the session. So your voice is little low.
Presentation with her, she will be presenting it. She's not with me. She's from a second location. Let me request her.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Ikra ma'am, will you be presenting the slides or we shall present? Ma'am, you're not audible. Your voice is coming again low, but otherwise we can hear you. Should we present from your side, ma'am?
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes, now.
Okay. If you could please share my presentation.
Yes, ma'am. In a while, we are sharing your presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here with the presentation of the research paper titled Advertisements with Social Message Linking Attitude Towards the Advertisements, Purchase Intention, and Subjective Well-being. Starting with the introduction. Could you please move the slide. Message in advertisements connects the customer with the brand and the product. In times of growing competition and increased exposure of customer towards ads, marketers need to create advertisements that are effective. At times, customer discovers advertisements that have a socially relevant message to convey. These advertisements present the message and issue in such a way that it grabs the attention and engrave the message and issue in the minds of the customers for all time. Howard Luck Gossage said that advertising justifies its existence when used in the public interest. It is much too powerful a tool to use solely for commercial purpose. Social cause problems were advertisements and marketed by government and non-profit organizations only to create awareness in the past. Lately, companies have started incorporating social messages in their commercial campaigns and advertisements to position their products and brands in customers' minds. In order to promote the welfare of individuals and society, social cause advertising aims to affect the voluntary or involuntary behavior of the target audience. There has been research on consumer behavior due to advertising in abundance, such as emotions in advertising, ethics in advertising, word of mouth in advertising. However, the aspect of ads incorporating a social message is still not studied widely. Also, a slew of studies were conducted were conducted to demonstrate the link between attitude and purchase intention. Yet these factors have not been studied from the context of commercial advertisements incorporating a social message. Another crucial aspect
Can
to
we
study.
hear the objectives from your side?
Yeah, sure. Based on the research gap and the literature, two hypotheses. Could you please? Two hypotheses are formulated. The first one is to study the first hypothesis is purchase intention for the brand is positively influenced by customer attitude for the ad with the social message. The second hypothesis is customers purchase intention has the impact on his or her subjective well-being. Could you please move the slide? Okay, coming to the methodology. First, the stimulus. Out of the pool of 20 advertisements, one ad was selected. It was a 1 to 2 minute commercial ad, and it consisted of a social message of treating both the genders equally and raising them equally. Then design and participants. A sample size of 395 was chosen for the study. Those 395 respondents were first exposed to the commercial advertisement, and then they were asked to fill the questionnaire. This study included the respondents of Jammu and Kashmir region of India with different economic and cultural backgrounds. And the university students were taken as the respondents. Then measures and procedure. For this study, Flipkart's ad, Let's Raise the Generation of Equals, was taken, and the brand name was masked, and a pseudo brand name, GenCart, was used instead. And respondents were told that it is to evaluate the effectiveness of the advertisement. Then they were shown the advertisement and asked to fill the questionnaire. The table showed demonstrates the variables and the sources. Change the slide, please. Okay, then the stimulus was checked for the manipulations. The respondent was asked how would they rate the strength of social message in the ad. The response there was and independent samples t-test was performed, and it showed that there was a significant effect of whether the participant saw the social message in the ad, with mean equal to 3.88 and t value equal to 27.34, which indicated that the manipulation was successful. Please change the slide. Then coming to data analysis. First, the construct validity was checked. It was seen that for the items of a particular variable showed the value of factor loading of greater than 0.5, which indicates the construct validity. Please change the slide. Then coming to the measurement model, because structural equation modeling was employed, so it has two steps. First, the measurement model, which is confirmatory factor analysis, and then the structural model. First, the structure measurement model was tested. All the fit indices of the model are well within the range, which indicates a good model fit. Please change the slide. Then the model was checked for validity and reliability. For convergent validity, factor loadings are all the values of factor loadings are greater than 0.8, and value of AVE is greater than 0.5. For discriminant validity, the square root of AVE is greater than correlation between the factors, and AVE is greater than MSV, which indicates that there is convergent validity and discriminant validity. Please change the slide. And composite reliability and Cronbach's alpha was checked for reliability. Both both the um, um,
Ikra
all
ma'am,
the
I
values.
request you to kindly wind up the section.
Okay. Could you please come to managerial implications? Please change the slide. In this study, both the hypotheses were supported. There was a significant effect of attitude towards the ad on purchase intention, and the significant effect of purchase intention on subjective well-being. Coming to the managerial implications, according to Emily D. Garadin, she says the power of words is immense. A well-chosen word has often sufficed to stop a flying army, to change defeat into victory, and to save the empire. While the use of social message in advertising is growing, little is known about the power of these words that can make communication with customers effective. Societal change can be evoked by well-worded text and powerful message. For advertisers and practitioners, the results of the study provide insight for advertisements and would help them to attract more customers. This study provides the understanding that it is more effective to use a social message in the commercial advertisements. Including a social message in the ad could result in positive attitude towards the ad. In particular, the purchase intention is influenced by attitude towards the ad, which in turn will lead to increased subjective well-being. Subjective well-being is the end that an individual strives for. A happy customer is more inclined to try the other
Okay,
product line.
ma'am. We got the point. Now I'd like to request Meenakshi ma'am if she can ask any questions if she has.
Okay.
First of all, let me congratulate Zia sir and Ikra ma'am for taking such a relevant topic for your research. It was well researched, I must say. So I don't have any questions to ask, because your research was quite elaborated, but you didn't have time to discuss it all. But it was a wonderful and relevant topic. Yes, congratulate both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am. Now I'd like to take the session, and I'd like to welcome Mr. Vinay Kumar Sharma, Research Scholar, Chitkara Business School, Chitkara University, Punjab, India. And Dr. Deepak Sood, HOD, BFSI, Chitkara Business School, Chitkara University, Punjab, India. They'll be presenting Understanding Anomalies in Investment Decision in Security Market, Development and Validation of Instrument across Indian Retail Investors in Post-Pandemic Phase.
But 1 second, ma'am. This is Sarita Yadav. Actually,
Ma'am, we'll take your session after this.
Okay.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Perfectly audible, sir.
I'm a research scholar trying to, learn from the accommodations in the universities, because actually I'm a professional. I work in corporate sector. So this is my, just a kind of a drive to because when we work in corporate sector, we get there, in the rut of that thing, we keep on doing, those things regularly, repeatedly. But here we get opportunity to, interact with a lot of, knowledgeable people who have done a lot of research, and it is a good platform to learn. So with that intention, I have started this one of the research in Chitkara University, and my topic is on investment behavior of retail investors. So in that, I am doing a research and regarding that only I'm going to present here. I have done some initial studies, and based on that, so my topic for presentation is understanding anomalies in investment decision in security market, development and validation of instrument across Indian retail investors in post-pandemic phase. So as we all know that, as such, investment should be a very rational decision, but most of the time it is not so. We get influenced by a lot of factors, and there are, if in study shows, there are more than 80-90 factors which influence a person's decisions. Although the rational theory says that we should, if we have proper information, the information is available in the market, and if we decide take any decision based on that information, our result should also be appropriate, similar. We should get right results, but it does not happen in the security market. Particularly, it has been observed. So with that,
So can we move to the next slide?
So anomalies in financial decision making are a novel subject of a study, though the rational theory says that we should always get that I already discussed this thing. Now I'm going to next slide. So these are various factors like heuristic. What is the heuristic perspective? The anomalies emerging from man's search for shortcuts and avoiding intensive thinking counts as the next possible contributor to our discussion. The anomaly seems to influence the human psyche to adhere intolerance of uncertainty, exhibit undesirable optimism, engage in unwarranted disposition, take things for granted, and exhibit likewise investment behavior. So there is a social effect perspective. In this, the anomalies are emerging from isomorphic and mimetic influences, which matter a lot while undertaking securities investment decision in contextual aspects. The retail investor has always been observed as immensely susceptible to interpersonal influences. If my friend buys something, I will also like to buy something. So during my initial phase of research, we shortlisted these 6 parameters. One was information related, second was heuristics, third was intertemporal choice, decision aspects, emotional and psychological aspects, and the objective of study was to develop and validate a measure for financial decision making in Indian security market, to classify the factors contributing to the individual financial decision making, to study and propose set of conjugated hypotheses that collectively capture the impact of perceptions of the Indian retail investors in assessing their own levels of decision making process in post-pandemic phase in Indian perspective. So on the basis of initial pilot study, these yellow highlighted parameters were chosen by we did a pilot study with 25 academicians, investors, financial investors, and people who are working in any kind of a industry which are related with investment. Based on their ranking, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 parameters were chosen for further study, that how these are influencing, because there are a lot of parameters out of which we have to select. We cannot take all the parameters. So only these few parameters were selected, on the basis of which further research was done. Sample size was around 1,260, out of which 452 people responded, and the territory was Chandigarh, Haryana, Punjab, cities of these three states, sorry, 2 states and 1 UT. The study observed the reliability of measure in range of 0.5 to 0.9, which stands for satisfactory outcomes. And just one second. We did the factor validity also, in which our KMO measure was for it was observed to be 0.87, which is in the satisfactory range of 0.7 to 0.99. Then this CFA model validation of heuristic anomalies was also done. It was also positive. So the conclusion is scaling perspective often brings in fresh insights into the phenomena and fosters a valid and reliable sense of measurement of phenomenon. The financial anomalies instrumentation hence provide you the intellectual insights into the elements that shape and influence the development and sustenance of financial anomalies.
Can I request you to kindly conclude the session?
Yeah. So the limitation observed was that we relied on the existing literature and publication that surfaced with keyword searches across renowned database. The primary data was incorporated in form of Likert scale, and data was collected with the aid of Google Forms only. The deducing of general and underlying perceptions across smartphone equipped retail investors could be subject to inherent anomalies in financial decision making and selection errors. The primary data analysis with SEM yielded more real-time and on-ground inputs for the search to lead the meaningful implementation across the research experienced numerous limitations in terms of time, geography of coverage, because we did only a few cities. The control variable inclusion criteria was marked by a review of literature, which could be biased in the approach. So that's all from my side.
Thank you, sir. Meenakshi ma'am, please do ask questions on the paper.
No, Swarnika ma'am, nothing to ask as such. Good.
Okay, thanks a lot. Now, taking the session forward, we have Ms. Sarita Yadav, Research Scholar, Department of Management Studies, Deenbandhu Choturam University of Science and Technology, Murthal, Haryana. And another co-author is Dr. Pankaj Kumar, Associate Professor, Department of Management Studies, Deenbandhu Choturam University, Murthal, Sonipat, Haryana. They'll be presenting financial determinants of equity share pricing, evidence from FMCG companies listed in S&P BSE 100 index. Welcome to the session.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. My screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is. We can see your screen.
Okay, so I'm going to present the paper on financial determinants of equity share pricing, evidences from FMCG companies listed in S&P BSE 100 index. And introduction of my paper is if we talk about the FMCG industry, it is the fourth largest sector in India, fast-moving consumer goods, with personal care and domestic item accounting for all FMCG sales there. The main factor driving the sector growth have been more awareness, simpler access, and shifting lifestyle. The majority of the total revenue produced by the FMCG industry in India is contributed by the urban sector. The FMCG market, however, has expanded more quickly in rural India recently than in urban India over the past few years. Rural consumer consumption of FMCG rose 58.2% in September 2021. So this was the overview of the FMCG industry, that how it is growing and how it is contributing into our economy. Then I have tried to see the impact of that in FMCG sector. If you see the share market, so demand and supply of shares is driven by the various technical, macroeconomic, and fundamental variables. The share prices of the FMCG company. Among various fundamental macro determinant financial explanatory variables are considered as most important influencing factor on stock returns. So there are so many researches has been conducted regarding this, and they believe that, and they believe and supported that financial factors have significant impact on equity share pricing. So hence, investors can gain the abnormal profit if they know the determinants of the equity share pricing. So many literatures have been done in this regard. So Kalunda and Haryali has analyzed earning leverage are significant for food and allied food and disease in our role. Then earning per share and book value per share found to have positive significant impact on stock returns of the company listed in BSE 500 index. Coming on to the another study, the Al-Malkawi 2018, the study that same results decided concluded that debt and dividend yield exhibits negative and significant association. Then Adjo and Robinson studied 3 economies, Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya, and revealed the dividend payout and leverage earning per share size and dividend yield having the significant positive relation with volatility in the stocks. So if you move forward, so there are so many researches, contributions has been done in this regard, and through the literature review, I have identified 16 fundamental variables which are having significant impact onto the equity share pricing. These fundamental variables are earning per share, earning yield, DPS, dividend payout ratio, dividend yield, current ratio, future ratio, book value per share, price to book value, price to sales, net profit margin, return on asset size, total asset turnover, return capital employed, and return on net worth. Then objective of my study is to study the effect of the various financial variables on equity share price of FMCG companies in S&P BSE 100 index. Null hypothesis is there is no significant effect of various financial variables on equity share price of FMCG companies. For this study, the FMCG companies listed in BSE 100 index for the 2019 has been taken the sample, and there were 10 FMCG companies were listed in the BSE 100 index. Second, data of 16 financial variables has been collected from CMI Progress database for the year 2005-6 to 2000. For the year 2005-6 to 2018-19, type of the research is descriptive in nature, and I have used the descriptive statistics and correlation to see the relationship, and then I have checked the OLS and 6 different effect to see the impact, which I will explain later on. And I have taken the market price of the shares as the dependent variable, and I have taken market price, low price plus high price, and the market. These are the descriptives of the study, which you can see in terms of the mean and standard deviation. This is the correlation matrix, which shows that EPS, price to book value, EY, BVPS, TAT, then PS, then QR, CR, then DPS. These are having the significant association with the market price. Other variables are having very less correlation or no correlation with the market price. Then I have done, I have checked that the OLS can be done on to see the impact or not. So through the F likelihood test, we have identified that F statistic is significant in nature. So it means the data is not pullable, so we cannot apply OLS. So in that case, we have to apply either FE or RE. So to select among FE and RE, we need to see the Hostman. Here the Hostman chi-square test shows that it it is value is more than 0.05%. So the null hypothesis or that the RE model is more suitable than FE model has been accepted. So random effect model has been used to explain the data to see the impact.
Kindly conclude the presentation.
Yeah, I'm coming on to the conclusion. Through the results, we can see that that R square is 91.41%, which is it means these variables are able to explain 91% change into the share prices. And through the among all only the financial variables, the significant financial variable is NPM, which is more powerful to explain the variables. FMCG industry is a growing industry, so this study would give an insight to investors, brokers, and fund managers while investing. Company management can also try to improve the financial variables which are significantly impacting the company's equity evaluation. Limitation of the study that only FMCG sector has been taken into the consideration. Other growing sectors can also be taken into the consideration while doing the study.
Okay, we got the point.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
If you have any question, please do ask.
Yes. Sarita Yadav, ma'am, congratulations for this wonderful presentation of yours. I just wanted to ask one thing. You have taken data till 2019. Is that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think that's not recent one. First thing which I found in the study is you should have taken the data, the recent one. And apart from that, one more thing which is very relevant is if you would have taken the data after 19, that means that data would be after, post-COVID data would be there, and you could have generated different variables in your study and your study would have been more relevant in that case. So that is an input from my side. Rest, okay, all right.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am. I'll take the session further. Now we have Ms. Tamanna Agarwal, Assistant Professor, Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, JP University of Engineering and Technology, MP, India. We have Dr. Sandeep Arya, Assistant Professor, Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, JP University, MP, India. Then we have Dr. Kamini Vasin, Assistant Professor, Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, JP University of Engineering and Technology, MP, India. They'll be presenting employer branding, employee engagement, and organizational citizenship behavior, a proposed theoretical framework for academia. Welcome, ma'am.
Hello, is my screen visible to you all?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon to one and all present over here. This is Tamanna Agrawal, Assistant Professor from JP University of Engineering and Technology, Guna. I'm here to give a paper presentation for this 10th National Conference on Building Organizational Resilience and Thriving Towards Performance Optimization, a Way Forward, with my co-authors, Dr. Sandeep Arya and Dr. Kamini Vasin. It is organized by Banarsi Das Chandiwala Institute of Professional Studies. So as far as the content of my presentation would be, it would be regarding the objectives of research paper, introduction to key terms, proposed model, and discussions towards the end. So if I go by my paper title, the title of the paper is Employer Branding, Employee Engagement, and Organizational Citizenship Behavior, a proposed theoretical framework for academia, as it is widely visible that this is a conceptual model or conceptual paper where I have tried to implement what is the relationship or what is the impact of employer branding on employee engagement and OCB in the academia context. So if I go by first of all, if I go by certain, the main constructs of this particular paper, there are three major constructs: employer branding, employee engagement, and OCB. So if I talk of the independent variable over here is EB, that is employer branding, and employee engagement and OCB are the dependent variables. So what is employer branding? Employer branding, if I discuss, employer branding is the amalgamation of marketing management along with human resource management. So as we all know, what is the branding in the case of marketing management, it is all about how you portray a product in the mind of the consumers. Similarly, employer branding is all about how you brand your organization in the minds of your employees. So there can be likewise there can be two types of employer branding. One is internal employer branding and external employer branding. So external employer branding is all about the potential employees or potential aspirants who are about to enter an organization, whereas internal employer branding is all about how to retain the existing customer, how you are portraying your image as an employer in the minds of the existing employees. So as far as the objectives of this research paper is concerned, first objective is all about to identify the antecedents of employer branding relevant to the education sector, to develop a research model hypothesizing the impact of employer branding on employee engagement and OCB, and to hypothesize the temporal and carryover effects of these relationships using a longitudinal research design. So if I talk of the significance of this research lays down to its context, that is the higher educational institutes. As I am also the part of higher educational institute, I understand the complications, the things which are over here in terms of employee engagement and
in order to retain an employee. So nowadays, these days, higher education institutes are facing a bigger challenge in terms of how to retain an employee. Moreover, not only to retain an employee, how to engage that employee for the work which they are doing. That is a major concern in education sector and in HEI. That is why this is a particular significance of this particular paper. So and this particular trend has taken a new dimension as far as you say as far as COVID-19 is concerned. After COVID-19 or post pandemic, this particular scenario has altogether changed or adversed. So this paper is talking about what are the antecedents, what are the major dimensions which are important for employer branding, which are relevant to education sector. And with the review of literature, it has been identified by me that there are three major antecedents of employer branding to education sector which are relevant, which are in the form of internal communication. Then it is also related to employee development and employee training. So these are the three major constituents or antecedents of employer branding relevant to education sector. So if I talk of the research model, so research model of this paper looks like in this particular format. So this is a conceptual model, proposed model, which talks about how the perception, as we know that that employee engagement and OCB are the you can say are the employee behavior and attitude, and which is very much dynamic in nature, which evolves over time. So we cannot surely say that this is the particular engagement level at this point of time. So for this purpose, for finding out the actual impact of employee engagement or employer branding on employee engagement, we have used a longitudinal research design at time T1 to time T2. So what are the dynamics of employee behavior and employee attitude in terms of employee engagement and OCB from time T1 to time T2 is going to be studied with this particular paper. So this is a theoretical model which has been proposed, and with this particular,
kindly conclude the presentation.
Yes. So this is with this particular paper, I would like to give the final implication of this paper. The final implication of this paper is that it will provide academicians and practitioners an effective framework to conduct empirical studies in higher education industry to uncover industry-specific triggers for engaging and retaining employees. So in order to retain employees, in order to engage employees for a longer duration of time in HEIs, this particular research model would be beneficial. So these are the references. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd like to ask Meenakshi ma'am if she has any question.
Thank you so much, Tamanna ma'am, for giving a nice presentation of yours. I think you've covered only the private higher education institutions over here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, before moving forward, I would like to request the presenters, please switch on their cameras while presenting the paper. Now we have Ms. Janvi Khurana, Assistant Professor, Department of Management, Delhi Institute of Advanced Studies, New Delhi, and Ms. Jyoti Tandon, Assistant Professor, Department of Management, Delhi Institute of Advanced Studies, New Delhi. They'll be presenting impact of influencer marketing on consumers' purchase intention and empirical analysis.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am. You're welcome.
Is that PPT visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So good afternoon, one all present there. Our topic is impact of influencer marketing on consumers' purchase intention and empirical analysis. As we have seen in today's age, the digital innovations, technological advancements has seen a lot of advancement. It could be in the terms of explosions of media power, influence of bloggers, Instagrammers on social medias, which is shaping the attitude and perception of the consumers. So basically, before starting, who are influencers? These are the persons who exerts influence or called as a person who inspires or guides the action of the others. Through this paper, the researchers intend to appraise and understand the impact of influencer marketing on the purchase intention of the consumers. Need of the study. Basically, based on the ex ante of literature review, researchers find various gaps in the studies. The earlier studies have been conducted in different countries and on different age groups. As we have seen, the role of millennials in the social media advertising and impact of influencers on them, it is therefore pertinent to see where the purchase behavior is influenced by social media, influencers in the Indian scenario, basically on the millennials. The research objectives of our paper was, objective of this study is to explore the link between influencer marketing and consumer purchase intentions. We have certain objectives mentioned over here. Increasing brand awareness is ranked as the main objective of influencer marketing. Driving engagement with brand is ranked as the second goal of using influencer marketing. Reaching new target audiences comes at the next. Moreover, we would like to draw insights as to how Instagram influencers create impact upon the consumer buying behavior. The type of research is empirical in nature, and the research design used is exploratory and descriptive. The data collection was the primary data collected from the self-administered questionnaire, which was circulated to postgraduate students, to various business schools, businessmen and professionals in service residing in the vicinity of New Delhi. The sampling technique, according to the Kerling here, the sample size should be at least 10 times the number of item variables. So accordingly, we need 240 respondents. We circulated 350 questionnaires, and out of them, 300 were completely fulfilling the criteria.
As has been already reiterated by my colleague, the study employed basically various 24 items under various constructs, and these constructs have basically been explored through factor analysis. So factor analysis and multiple regression analysis have been adopted as the tools and techniques to calculate the impact of factors of Instagram influencers on buying behavior of the millennials. To assess the reliability of the sample, Cronbach alpha has been adopted, the value of which came out to be 0.825, which indicates high internal consistency. Further, we have also tested Barley's test of sparsity, which also indicated strength of the relationship and association between variables. In the present scenario, in the present factor analysis, we also calculated KMO value, which came out to be 0.850, which shows that the data is sufficient for factor analysis. Further, in order to evaluate the psyche of the millennials and measure the perception of millennials towards Instagram influencers, we basically use various factors, and these factors have basically been used in order to study or the effect of Instagram influencers on buying behavior of the millennials. The factor loadings came out to be 17.658 for influencer attractiveness. Further, the other variable or the other factor that we came across was value for money. The loading for the same was 10.523. The next one is consumer perception of influencer of endorsed products, for which the value came out to be 10.463. The next one is influencer trustworthiness, 9.988. The fifth one is influencer expertise, which came out to be 7.031. And the last one is brand attractiveness, for which the value came out to be 8.774. So on the basis of these 6 factors, different hypotheses have been framed, which we can see on the screens as well right now, that basically relate to attractiveness of the influencers, value for money, consumer perception of influencer endorsed brands, trustworthiness, expertise, and brand attractiveness, and whether all these factors have significant impact on purchase intention of the millennials or not. Further, we also performed regression analysis, and the value of the same came out to be 55.8%. So the R square depicts that proportionately 55.8% of the purchase intention of the millennials is predicted by influencer attractiveness, value for money, consumer perception, and other factors accordingly.
Jyoti ma'am, kindly conclude the presentation.
In the end, we would like to state that the study revealed that most of the respondents are impacted by the influencers on social media, and Instagram marketing provides brand with productive and effective ways to reach their interest groups through various social media platforms and different measures. And the outcomes of the study reveal that Instagram influencers have a significant impact on purchase intention, as has been exhibited by the millennials. Thus, the strategy of engaging influencers in the endorsements may contribute towards positive monetary return for the companies, as also been suggested by various, as has also been suggested by people or authors in the past as well. So our studies have been congruent with the earlier studies as well, done in different demographies.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
If you have any questions for us, we are open to that as well.
Yes, please. Meenakshi ma'am, if you have any question, please do ask.
No questions, actually.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So next we do have Miss Neha, research scholar, BPS, MV Kanpur, Karan, Sonipat. Dr. Meenakshi Katyal, assistant professor, BPS, MV Kanpur, Karan, Sonipat. They will be presenting sensory marketing, a retrospective between 1992 and 2021 using bibliometric analysis.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Welcome to the section.
Thank you, ma'am. Just a second, ma'am. I am getting the screen. Ma'am, is the PPT visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Should I start?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Ma'am, my topic for the presentation is the sensory marketing, a retrospective between 1992 and 2021 using the bibliometric analysis. First, I would start
Ma'am, you
from
can
the
also just slideshow the screen, if possible.
just a second. Now, okay, ma'am.
We cannot have the full screen of the presentation, but it is okay if it is not possible from your side.
Okay. First, I would start from the introduction, the sensory marketing. The sensory refers to how the people feel, hear, see, smell, and taste when they are exposed to the external stimuli in their environment, as well as their visual, auditory, and tactile perception of their experience. Sensory marketing aims to provide the consumer with the experiences in order to create a positive image of a company or a brand and to elicit positive consumer response. Sensory marketing, first proposed by Schmidt, is a marketing approach that appeals to the five senses: sight, smell, sound, taste, and touch in order to elicit consumer emotions rather than rational judgment. Later, Krishna described the sensory marketing as a marketing technique that can touch consumers' emotions, perceptions, judgment, and behavior in addition to their five senses. Next is the meaning of the bibliometric analysis. Bibliometric analysis is a quantitative method of analyzing the worldwide research trends in a given field or a topic based on the academic journals or the papers that have been published. This method distinguishes a bibliometric analysis paper from a review paper, which aims to discuss the trend, most recent development, and the future direction of the certain field of study. Bibliometric is a scientific research field that has gotten a lot of attention from mainstream researchers because it is a tool to evaluate the benefits of a specific topic area. Bibliometric analysis has been used to the numerous academic disciplines in recent decades. Next is the importance of the study. First, the bibliometric analysis is beneficial for analyzing and categorizing the literature on any topic, as well as the providing the structure to the status of knowledge development in any specific study field by a scientific method. Next is by detecting the patterns, research streams, macro themes, and subtopic investigated in the area. This technique aids in true retrospection. Third, it highlights the current trends, influential authors, publications, journals, and countries, among other things, on any given issue, thereby sustaining the certain areas and sources of interest in the field. Next is the objective of the study. The goal of the study is to look at the chronological distribution pattern on the sensory market from 1990 to 2001. Next is to determine which journal are the most productive journals.
Can you switch to the next slide?
Okay. The data sources and the search study. The Web of Science was used for data mapping in the present study.
Actually, we are not able to see the next slides of yours.
Just a second, ma'am. Just a second, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We are waiting.
Okay. Now is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay.
We can see your next slide.
Okay. Objectives
Kindly conclude the session within a couple of minutes.
Okay, ma'am. Data analysis is that the most productive publication is 2020 in the sensory marketing, on the sensory marketing, and publishing the 196 documents on the sensory marketing. Next is the most productive journal. The most productive journal publishing the highest number of the documents on sensory marketing is psychology marketing, publishing the 77 documents. Next is the most relevant authors. These are the top 5 most relevant authors contributing on the sensory marketing. The first is the Biswas Ji, publishing the 12 documents on the sensory marketing. Next is the most productive countries. These are the top 5 countries publishing on the sensory marketing. The first is the USA, publishing the 514 documents on the sensory marketing. These are the most relevant affiliations or the institutions. These are the top 5 institutions publishing on the sensory marketing. At the top is the State University System of Florida, publishing the 48 documents. And the most contributing publisher, the most productive publisher is the Emerald Group of Publishing, publishing the 337 documents on the sensory marketing. And these are the most used keywords in search of the sensory marketing. The first is the impact. The next is the model. The next is the consumption, and then the sensory marketing, etc. And this is the conclusion. This study provides the latest analysis of the changes and trends in the sensory marketing research from 1991 to 2001. We study the trends in sensory marketing and identify the most prolific journal, year, nation, academic institution, and author, as well as the research theme in the bibliometric study. The most productive year, most productive journal, most productive author, most productive country, most productive university, and the most relevant keywords used in search of the sensory marketing.
Thank you, Neha ma'am, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Meenakshi ma'am, if you have any questions, please do ask.
Neha ma'am, congratulations for this research of yours, and you have presented it nicely. I just wanted to know, what is the societal contribution of your research over here? Maybe
Ma'am, this will help the researchers who are doing research on the sensory marketing. This study basically gives an overview how much paper published on the topic sensory marketing, in which year the paper are published, and which author contributed the most on the sensory marketing.
okay, fine. Thank you so much.
Next, we have Mr. Mahesh Chandra Sharma, doctoral research scholar, Shobit Institute of Engineering and Technology, Meerut, UP. Sir will be presenting Decoding in the Profitability of Housing Finance Companies in India, Role of Size, Cost and Ownership. Welcome to the session, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Sir, your background noise is coming. Will it be possible to mute that?
Yes, sir. Just I'm trying. Yes. जी madam.
Yes, sir. Sir, please present the paper,
Yes.
the slides which you have made. Okay, it is perfectly visible.
Okay. Respected chairperson and co-chairperson of this technical session and academicians and research scholars. Myself, Mahesh Chandra Sharma, doctoral research scholar at Shobit Institute of Engineering and Technology, deemed University, Meerut. The title of my research paper is Decoding the Profitability of Housing Finance Companies in India, Role of Size, Cost and Ownership. As we know, the housing finance companies are essential non-banking financial institutions in emerging economies where housing remains an active area of development. And we know that most of the persons has to borrow the or to take the home loan to purchase the house. So this is the reason that the housing finance companies has become very crucial. In this study, we have investigated the determinants of profitability in housing finance companies by employing a panel database of 57 Indian housing finance companies for the period 2011 to 2019. As far as the previous literature is concerned, it shows that the access to low cost and long term sources of funds improves housing finance companies profitability, as shown by the study by Verma 2022. And whereas the liquidity issues reduce the profitability of housing finance companies in India, as per the study by Menon 2019. In all other research papers also, a major the research gap, I have found that their sample size is comparatively small. And this is our study which we have considered the largest sample of housing finance companies. In our present study, a sample of our study includes 57 Indian housing finance companies, and sample period ranges from 2011 to 2019. We have not considered the data from years beyond 2019 due to the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in India in late January 20. And because it may affect their profitability and data may not be the comparable. We have employed the PROVES database maintained by CMIE. More than 80 unique housing finance companies operated during the sample period, according to the National Housing Bank Annual Reports 2015 to 20. But we have included only housing finance companies for which the database includes 3 or more years of data. For the purpose of data analysis, we have used a fixed effects regression model. Our dependent variable return on assets. Independent variable, we have taken the size of the housing finance companies, interest cost ratio, compensation ratio, government owned companies and government ownership, bank supported house companies or the housing finance companies promoted by the banks, and business group companies, and also the love of the GDP and the year fixed effects and bank fixed effects has also been considered. So we have observed that on the basis of this data analysis, that as far as the ROA, the return on asset is concerned, the mean value is 0.04% and the minimum is minus 0.31 and the maximum 0.059. So there is a variation in the ROA, the return, the profitability. We observed that around 15% of the values for ROA are negative, which suggests that the many housing finance companies incurred loss during the study period. The mean values for the total assets of housing finance company in our sample are 193,923 million, and while the estimated
May I also
deviation,
finally conclude the presentation?
yes,
So kindly conclude the presentation.
okay, ma'am, okay, okay. On the basis of analysis, we find that the increase in size increases the profitability of housing finance companies. This suggests that the smaller housing finance companies face diseconomies of scale and scope. Our results show that an increase in interest expense and compensation to employees reduces the housing finance company's profitability. We find that the ownership characteristics of the housing finance companies are key determinants of profitability. Being government owned reduces profitability. Being a subsidiary of a commercial bank increases the housing finance company's profitability, and being affiliated to a large business group reduces the housing finance company's profitability. This study has the policy implications and also some guidelines for the management to focus on how to improve the profitability of housing finance companies. Thank you for giving me a chance to present my paper. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Meenakshi ma'am, if you have any questions, please ask.
No, Swarnika ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes. Next, we have Professor Namita Rajput, Professor, Department of Commerce, Sri Aurobindo College, University of Delhi. Ms. Sophia, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, Zakir Hussain, Delhi College, University of Delhi. They'll be presenting Impact of Prices on Stock Indices, a case study of NAFTA. Welcome, ma'am. Are we audible to you?
Sophia, you're on
Hello,
mute.
hello. A very good afternoon to the chairperson, co-chair, the faculty member of BCIPS, and the other presenters here. Shall I start with the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Your
Okay.
presentation is visible.
So the topic of the paper is impact of crisis on stock indices, a case study of NAFTA, and here we are basically studying the NAFTA integration in relation to stock indices and the impact of COVID-19 and as well as the financial crisis of 2008. So the paper basically consider the growing connections between the various international financial markets, which have been grown vital and essential for investors and policymakers due to their impact on decision making for portfolio management and contagion risk in financial markets that may arise during such crisis situation. Over the past, we have witnessed different financial catastrophes that include COVID-19 pandemic, the European sovereign debt crisis, and the 2008 global financial crisis, and that ultimately have led to and have witnessed the interdependence among financial markets. We try to look into the co-integration dynamics between the US, Canada, and Mexico that constitute the NAFTA integration. Additionally, in order to examine the extent of long-term interlinkages between these three countries and identifying the differences across crisis periods, and we are going to consider two crisis periods here, that is COVID-19 and global financial crisis 2008. These are the literature review in relation to the studies that have been concentrated on COVID-19 pandemic on the on the stock market. And these are the studies that are related to the 2007-8 subprime crisis. The data and methodology, the data that we have included here is basically the Dow Jones, S&P TSX, and the S&P respectively for the Canada, Mexico, and United States. The time series for the data include from July 2007 to December 2012 for the global financial crisis period, and from February 2020 to March 2021 for COVID-19 pandemic period. On the selected data, we have applied the
Please
Jones.
present the next slide.
Is it okay now?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. So on the same, we have applied on this data series, the Johnson co-integration test, to examine the long-term co-integration and causal interactions among the NAFTA member nations. To conduct the Johnson's co-integration test, we have conducted initially the stationary test on the both the set of data, and we found that the data is non-stationary at the price level, and the reverse is for the return series, and that is being verified by both the tests, that is ADF test and Philip parent test. And similar tests have been conducted for the COVID period data also, and the stationary results requirements have been met. Now the co-integration results show that during the financial crisis period, there was no co-integration either among the countries, that is when we are taking two combinations at a time, and also among the whole set of countries, that is in between Canada, Mexico, and USA. But when we look at the COVID period, there is co-integration that exists in between Canada and USA during the COVID period, and also there is co-integration that exists between if we take all of them together. To summarize the results, the stock indices of none of the countries under discussions were co-integrated throughout the period of the global financial crisis. Neither the nations individually nor collectively exhibit any amount of co-integration throughout the time. But when we look at the COVID-19 pandemic period, they exhibit distinct behavior, since co-integration had risen at this period, and all three countries exhibit co-integration, and specifically US and Canada both exhibit relatedness during that time, that is being proved through this Johnson's co-integration test conducted on this. The conclusion and policy implications could be that one could conclude that during the epidemic period, co-integration between and among NAFTA members grew, as witnessed during the as we can compare these two co-integration results. The likelihood of portfolio diversification has thus been reduced. So the purpose of one of the purpose for investment is to find out, to look for the investment options that are diversified. But this over the time period, NAFTA countries have reduced portfolio diversification avenues. Also, it illustrated how the consequences of the financial crisis and epidemic might have differing effects on the stock market. And when taking corrective measures, we can't, being the policymakers, one cannot deal in the same policy strategies to deal in these two situations. And also, investor might use this study to assess them to create their portfolio. That's
Okay,
it
ma'am.
from my side.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Meenakshi ma'am, do you have any question?
Thank you so much, Sophia ma'am, for this presentation of yours.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to ask one thing. Have you undertaken any study related to Indian market, or maybe what is the implication of this study of yours on the Indian financial market?
Actually, I am doing a research related to BRICS and NAFTA. So this is part of that I am doing here. And in my study, I am taking India separately in relation to NAFTA and BRICS also. So this is part of that I am presenting here.
Fine. So I just wanted to ask, is there any implication of this particular thing or with reference to Indian market also?
With reference to Indian market also, we can refer it here because when we are looking for the diversification at international level, if we are investing in America, USA, and Mexico and Canada, we will not be able to have a diversified portfolio, because all of these countries exhibited related or co-integrated movement during the COVID-19 pandemic period. So though we can assume that we are investing in three different countries, but their co-movement exists during the COVID-19 period, so ultimately diversification would not be possible.
Okay.
So for the investors who are looking for the investment across the countries, they may find it useful that even if they are investing in multiple countries, out of this integration, they will not be able to have a diversified portfolio with them.
Okay.
Okay.
One more thing, Sophia, I just wanted to know,
Yeah.
have you ever, like in your study, I think you might have compared like pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Okay,
I
fine.
have bifurcated the time period in 4 parts for that.
Okay. So this is not exhibited here in your presentation.
No. I'm taking one particular part of that only.
Fine. Thank you so much, Sophia. Best wishes.
Okay.
For future
Thank you.
efforts. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Ekta Malik, Research Scholar, Department of Commerce, Baba Masnath University, Rohtak. She'll be presenting development and optimization in packed food products.
Hello, good
Ma'am,
evening.
your presentation is visible to all of us.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Ekta, and I'm here for my presentation on development in packed food and products. Packed food market is growing with the innovation and processing techniques to extend the shelf life of the food products. One of the key factors in market growth is that the working population is increasing and they have a very disposable income in hand. Therefore, people have the condition of spending more on food, and that is why it has become favorable that the products that they are choosing are usually packed food products. Now, as for the introduction, the packaging has developed beyond its basic function of food protection, and it plays a very important marketing role as a shelf appeal, brand image, awareness, and it provides the product information. In earlier time, what used to happen was that packaging was done that with anything that the seller had on his hand, like cloth or newspaper, or to hold the meat and sugar or flour. And if there was a mass marketing of many products, it was done with paperboard boxes. Then canning food was invented, and polythene and cell phone became important. After 1950s, plastic have replaced the glass, steel, and paper containers, and different type of packaging method have evolved after that, which we'll be talking about later here. The importance of packaging is primary function, as we all know that to extend the shelf life, maintaining the quality and safety of the packed food products. And secondary is traceability, tamper indication, and portion control. These are the traditional food packaging importance that we wanted to contain protection and preserve the food, convenience, communication, and marketing. But nowadays, packaging has evolved, and there are 4 different types of packaging that we're talking about today. That is smart packaging, intelligent, active, and connecting packaging. Smart packaging, as the term describes, packaging that uses technology to do things that beyond the housing of product. Intelligent packaging is also a type of smart packaging that is used for food, beverages, and pharmaceutical products. Intelligent packaging includes sensors that can detect the freshness or temperature of the package content, freshness, time, temperature indicators, or sensor can be used inside or outside the packaging to show to the retailers and customers if the important limit has exceeded. Now, coming to active packaging, it is very popular in food and beverages industry. Active packaging goes a step further than intelligent packaging to allow the package to interact with its content in order to improve shelf life or the quality of the content during the storage. Connected packaging isn't limited to food and beverages product. It has application in every retail product categories, including toys, gaming, and apparels. Now we're talking about the application of active packaging. Active packaging uses oxygen scavengers. The presence of oxygen in any package can trigger and accelerate the oxidative reaction that results in food deterioration. So oxidatives result in adverse quality of food. So in order to remove the oxygen, we use oxygen scavengers to increase the shelf life of the product. Then we use carbon dioxide absorbers and emitters. Carbon dioxide may be added to packages for beneficial effects. For example, to suppress the microbiological growth in certain products such as fresh meat, poultry, cheese, and baked goods. Moisture control agents are for moisture sensitive food where excess moisture in packaging can be removed. For example, caking in powdered product or softening of crispy products such as cracker and moisturizing of hydroscopic products such as sweetened candy. Then there are ethylene absorbers which can be recognized as a problem in post-harvest handling of horticulture products in fruits and vegetables. So for softening and ripening, it is responsible for a number of specific post-harvest disorders. Now, intelligent packaging applications are color changing.
Ma'am, kindly conclude the presentation.
Yeah, ma'am. Packaging and product are two inseparable identities. In food industry, it is impossible to think that a product without packaging, as packaging sector has seen a great advances with active and intelligent innovation, which has led to improved safety improved safety and food quality. And the new advanced packaging is focused on delayed oxidation, respiration rate, volatile flavor, microbiological growth, and nanoscale innovation is poised to elevate the packaging to new height. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Meenakshi ma'am, if you have any questions, please go ask.
Ekta ma'am, a nice presentation from your side. It was more of explanatory kind of, research, I must say. I think you should also work for how you can, as you've mentioned in your last slide, 3 hours of, because packaging includes all plastic, maybe everything is waste. Once it is out of that, once the customer will use that, the remaining, the packaging is all waste. So I think you should work further on how to, curtail those waste or how to dispose of waste this way. So further you can carry out your research in this area. So congratulations, Ekta. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Next we have Ms. Diksha from IHM Panipat. She'll be presenting role of IT in branding and positioning in a hotel. She was not able to present the paper because of the network connections. Again, she will try to present the paper. Ma'am, you're audible, but again, the voice is not very clear.
Ma'am, then should I start? I have
Now it is clear. Now it is clear. Ma'am, I believe the network connections are not very good. We are again not able to hear your voice very clearly.
Hello? Am I audible, ma'am?
Ma'am, yes, you are audible, but again, the voice is not clear. This is what I'm saying. We can just hear your objectives and findings of the paper.
Yes,
just
ma'am.
tell us that.
Objective is to analyze usage and significance of marketing. The third one, the motive of the study is to manually examine the role of IT in facilitating brand positioning of the hotel with reference to the employee group.
Okay, Diksha ma'am, I believe the network connections are not very good on the other side. We'll take the presentation. I mean, we can go through your research paper then.
Okay, ma'am.
So our session came to an end today, and let me publicize this thing before moving forward, that the award for best paper will be announced in the valedictory session in the day 2 of our national conference. Now I would like to request our technical session chair, Ms. Meenakshi Rathi, Dr. Professor Meenakshi Rathi, to conclude the session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swarnika ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. I hope my network is all right and I'm perfectly audible.
Perfectly okay, ma'am. Oh, perfectly okay from your side.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Once again, I must congratulate the entire institute, the entire faculty of your esteemed institute, Banarsi Das Chandiwala Institute of Professional Studies, for organizing this wonderful conference on the very relevant topic that is building organizational resilience and striving through the performance optimizing a way forward. And we have been since like 2 o'clock. We have been listening to various wonderful research scholars and the authors, those who have presented their papers wonderfully. And I must say, though the things are budding, though the things are new, but yes, each and every researcher is making his or her own wonderful contribution to the nation in some way or the other. We have been like we have gone through the papers like the comparative study of higher education institutes, then from the IT sector to the marketing. Since I'm not from the marketing background, as I've discussed with Dr. Devinder Sharma sir regarding that, I am from finance background. So the papers which were very much related to finance were like those जो मुझे बहुत अच्छे से I was able to understand. But yes, the other papers were also very much relevant. I must though I must not mention which was the best and all those things will be declared in as Swarnika ma'am has told you, that it will be declared in the second day of the technical session. But yes, almost all the papers were wonderful, and I, as an session chair, has learned a lot out of this national conference. And I must thank the director, the entire team of your institute for inviting me on this grand occasion of your national conference. And thank you so much. I would be giving my results very soon to Devinder Sharma sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So again, wishing everyone a very warm and graceful afternoon to one and all who are present in our technical session. And it is like my privilege to propose a vote of thanks to you, to our esteemed technical session chair.
Devinder sir, please mute yourself.
On this great occasion, I, Swarnika Singh, on behalf of BCIPS family, hereby extend my sincere thanks to Professor Dr. Meenakshi Rathi for gracing the event and becoming our technical session chair, sharing the valuable vision, inputs, and experience. Thank you very much, ma'am, that you spend your time from your busy schedule to grace the occasion. Thank you very much, ma'am. And more to it, I will acknowledge and thank all the participants and presenters who contributed so patiently and enthusiastically and coming up with so well-versed research work. Thank you so much, everyone. Over to you, Latika ma'am.
Thank you, Swarnika ma'am. Thank you, Professor Meenakshi. It was indeed a very kindling session, and we certainly have had some very noteworthy takeaways from all the research papers discussed during the session. I would also like to inform all the paper presenters that the award for the best paper will be announced during the valedictory session tomorrow. With this, let us conclude this very fruitful first day of our national conference. I would like to thank all the participants for joining us today and actively participating in both the sessions. For panel discussion and technical session 2, we shall be meeting again at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So you all are requested to be with us on the second day of the conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, Dr. Meenakshi, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. And one thing I just wanted to share, your team was flawless. Like it is like that. Everyone is so much, into the event, and it is very well coordinated event. So congratulations to you all I must say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll be meeting again tomorrow at 10 a.m. and at the same link. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.